Welcome in to Sports Time on a Monday. Brett and Bryant with you, like I said, on a Monday after a college football Week 3 weekend, NFL Week 2 weekend. We're back and we'll be with you for the next 3 hours. We're live from our Family Leisure Studios. And Brett, I feel like Friday, really all week last week, not just us, I'm sure we did it a couple of times, but people we talked to on and off air around town, other hosts and people working at the station, they all seemed to say the same thing about this weekend in college football, and it was, well, there's just not much there. It's going to be kind of a sleepy weekend, and we kind of agreed with that. Not a ton of games that really jumped off the page like this coming up weekend does, but man, that was a fun Saturday from start to finish. A lot of intriguing games, some games that were a little too close for comfort for some of those top teams in the country. I thought it was a fantastic Saturday.
It was watch your life flash before you for a lot of teams out there. In the end, it was not the blockbuster upset, but there's certainly, I guess Florida was a big upset over Tennessee, but that was kind of expected with the long, sustained prowess the Gators have over Tennessee at the Swamp. But it was near miss after near miss, and certainly in the college football playoff, part of it, it was near death experience for a lot of people. That can make you good, or that is the first sign of true vulnerabilities for a lot of teams. And everybody right now, raise your hand, just a little gentle honk of the horn, whatever you're doing. How many people stayed up to the end to watch the Colorado Buffalo Coach Sanders show?
Right here.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did too. Now, I've got to tell you, between 1st and 10 at their own 2, and kind of in overtime, it was partly cloudy. I was delirious. I thought I was seeing things, and then I finally realized what I was seeing, and it was another tremendous performance by Colorado, the story of college football through 3 weeks. But there are a lot of good stories, and now this week, that schedule, it looks like playoff games, big bowls, classic matchups this week, and the Memphis Tigers are a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I know we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show, but we talked about what do we really want this weekend to be for Missouri. I know Dave Woloshin was kind of on the side of let's have a hard-fought game, get them beat up before the Tigers, and
that's what I wanted.
Oh yeah,
what happened is what I wanted,
and what happened is what we wanted of a kind of hard-fought back-and-forth game where Missouri wins, and we wanted both teams being undefeated in St. Louis next year. We wanted Missouri coming off kind of a big momentum, major upset at home, and so that's what you're going to get. And now they'll be up in St. Louis this week, but that game was crazy. I mean, from start to finish, really back and forth, and then kind of towards the end where there was a Kansas State calls a timeout, then they run a play, there's a delay of game call, then they try to run them out there and they don't get it off, and there was like 2 back-to-back flags, and then finally they set up for a plus 60-yard field goal, and they nail it. It probably would have gone in at 70. I mean, it had a lot of leg behind it. And then there was the whole after the game, if there was a flag on the play or not. They didn't know if there was a flag or if it was just like somebody's shirt or something. And it was a crazy game, but,
What was it? Was it a flag? Because I saw something fly into that picture that they were trying to kind of superimpose.
I think what it was is I think they were handing out pom-poms, and I think somebody threw their pom-pom, and that's what.
And who had that arm?
Who knows? But whatever it was, everyone, even the officials, thought that it was a flag, and they were talking for like 10 minutes, and I thought it was a flag at first too. And so, they're all the fans are on the field, the students are on the field. It's a crazy environment there for a second, and I'm going, oh my gosh, they're gonna have to get all these people off the field, and they're gonna have to back them up, and we're gonna have to play another down, and then we're gonna go to overtime because they're not gonna set up for a field goal again. I mean, I was thinking worst case scenario, like this is gonna be the craziest thing to ever happen, but it wasn't.
and maybe somebody call a penalty for that.
Yeah,
for all the people on the field.
Exactly. I mean, then at that point, you never know what's going to be called. So it was an insane game. But I mean, now Missouri's in the top 25, and we'll see what the Tigers can do next week against Missouri. No, they're not in the top 25. I'm mistaken. But they're 3-0 with a lot of momentum, and it should be a good game next week.
Yeah, they're one of 5 remaining undefeated teams in the SEC, and I said it Saturday night late on Ole Miss postgame. I don't remember a year. I'm sure they're out there, but I don't remember when it comes to mind after 3 weeks, just 3 weeks, that the SEC's down to 5. Because usually Alabama or Florida or LSU, they carry it. Almost somebody or all 3 of those carried into October and November. On that play though, you could see the refs kind of huddled up and really did a good job, almost, going one by one. Did you throw a flag? No. Did you throw a flag? No. Yep. And kind of went, around, what's it, 8 and the alternate. I may be wrong on that number, but they go around and I didn't throw a flag. Let's get the heck out of here.
Yeah, and they got out of there.
And they did. And I don't know if people know this or not, but the refs, they have a van waiting for them right there on the spot. They don't go. They have an area to go to pregame and postgame, but or halftime rather. But they leave immediately, and they're quickly kind of ferried back to a hotel where they can change and things. They don't hang around. They get out of Dodge pretty quickly, and that was wild. I had a first Saturday night.
Okay.
3 stoppages in the game for chain malfunction.
Oh, jeez.
What are we doing here?
That's rough.
And finally, new set brought out.
Wow. I saw, I guess, maybe last week in the NFL, there was a game that had chain issues, and in probably 15 seconds, had a new set of chains out there, switched them out, and they were ready to roll. But, wow, 3 times stoppage. That's crazy.
3 stop. The first one, everybody, everybody kind of chuckle. Okay,
sure.
Well, it happens, just like a knot in your shoe.
Oh, yeah.
Second one, okay.
All right,
I think the over and under for the year is about 1. We've blown through the over, and then the third one.
Good Lord.
What are we doing? Come on.
Good Lord, that's crazy. And that was at the Ole Miss game.
Saturday night in Oxford against Georgia Tech.
That's crazy.
Haynes King played like I thought he would for Georgia Tech. Big time player.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. And I think Georgia Tech, it feels like there's something that could be there. It seems like
I agree.
They're starting to get it, but it's kind of a slow process. They're now 1-2 after that loss. But for Ole Miss, I know a lot of people thought that could be a game, you win that game, but a lot of people thought that was a game that they would not cover, and it could be a lot closer against Georgia Tech. So I think, especially a lot of people think it's that look-ahead game against Alabama next week. I think it was massive for them to go out, put up 48 points, and get a pretty secure victory.
I promise you I didn't have 1 penny on it. But for the people that had the over 61 and a half in the Ole Miss game, and the score fell on 43-24, right?
48.
No, that's not right. 48-23. 48-23. 61. Am I adding right?
You're adding right, yep. 71. You got 71 and a half.
They went over. Then they went over. I'm sorry. It wasn't a heartbreaker.
It was at 61. And so it
was at 61. I'm sorry. I had the math wrong. Because, Georgia Tech tried to go for 2 and instead of just adding the extra point.
Sure.
But at that point, the game was much closer than that. Ole Miss scored too late to really make it decisive for them. But a great showing of Georgia Tech fans and a lot of people from Memphis. Several I know in Oxford really enjoying that, and the Tech fans just as nice as they can be. And they were really looking forward to it and out in force. But in the NFL, 18-12. Road teams over home teams so far this year.
That's incredible. That's wild. We always talk about how, in the NFL, it's not like college where, a team can just go and dominate. These are professionals. It's going to be extremely close games, but I didn't think it would be like that where road teams are dominating.
And you got 2 games tonight on Monday Night Football. Two good
Sure
ones.
do. Two good games, and we're going to be carrying the second game between the Browns and the Steelers, so you can hear that one tonight on Sports 56. That one kicks off at 7:15, like most Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night games start. But then also 6:15, like you said, Saints-Panthers will also be tonight on ESPN. So, I mean, and I think next week
two division games.
Yeah, and I think next week they're doing the same thing on Monday night. Yeah, so next Monday you're gonna have two games as well. So I like all the football on a Monday night. It's gonna be a little different, but hey, I'm in it.
I like all the football whenever we can get it, and it was a lot of good action. And this week probably the red letter weekend of the year in college football coming up this weekend, but. There's a lot to go over from last week. You know, when you're going to give the lineup in a bit,
sure.
But when we do our quarterback rankings at 5:30 with part of our Ruth's Chris Monday Night Football pick and preview and the top four all time, we're going to pick just from these four teams going tonight. So
right.
if you want to have Delholm, Collins, Newton, and Bryce Young, you can. As your big four all the time, all Panthers. I don't think you're going to have that. If you wanted to go all Steelers, you sure could. If you wanted to go all Saints, you sure could. I think we know who number one is out there among these four franchises tonight.
Brett, we'll just have to wait. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait till 5:30 and see.
You know, I got Archie Manning number one on mine.
Oh, I know you do. I have no doubt about it.
If I had favorites, I would, but I don't have it that way. But we'll do that. We have a lot to get to, and really looking forward to all the fun we're going to have now between now and 6 o'clock.
Yeah, a lot to get to, and you mentioned gambling in terms of the total on the Ole Miss Georgia Tech game. It was less scarier than you thought it was, but I'll tell you mine on Saturday in college football. Iowa and Western Michigan, Saturday afternoon, I think a 2:30 start. And, Iowa, a team that goes out. I don't think I've ever seen an Iowa team put up more than 21 points. I mean, that's basically your cap.
That's standard fare.
Yeah, when you're watching Iowa, it's going to be a low-scoring defensive battle. And so when the line came out at like 28.5, Brett, I jumped all over it. You're telling me Iowa is going to score more than 28 points? And if they score more than 28 points, they're going to hold Western Michigan to 0? I don't think so. So I hopped all over it. It was at like 25 with a minute left, and I'm like, all right, well, Iowa's about to get the ball back. All they got to do is sit on it, and so it's like, Western Michigan has 10. It's about a 25-point game, and next thing I know, Iowa starts driving down the field. They get into the end zone with 15 seconds left to score again, and so Iowa covers 41-10, the final score there. I could not have been more upset with Iowa football on Saturday. But hey, they got to score points.
And Iowa 24th ranked this week. I don't know where the year is going for Kurt Ferentz. I know since 1979 they've had two coaches in Shades Fry and Kurt Ferentz. That's a run that would be the envy. Should be the envy of a lot of places that change coaches about every 3 years. A lot of places in the SEC that change them that often. I'm just going to say, one of these days, all the anti-Kurt Ferentz crowd is going to get their wish. He's going to retire, or he's going to be out of there. I bet you they don't have two over the next 43 years, 44 years, like they've had over this last with Hayden Fry and Kurt Ferentz. But they're going to get their wish someday, and they're going to get the bright shiny object. Let's just see if they win like that.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be much different. But, I mean, I kind of like this Iowa team. I mean, that's, I think, the second Iowa game I've watched in I wouldn't say its entirety, but most of its entirety.
Did you have insomnia? Were you looking for a cure?
I actually didn't have insomnia. I went to bed. I went to bed pretty easy after that game. Now here's the problem, Brett. Now, maybe I'm incriminating myself on this, but we've talked about this off air a little bit. I got contacts last week, and so I'm using contacts. I'm trying contacts out. I really like them so far, especially on a Saturday when I can just lay on the couch and watch television. Right. I don't need my glasses on. They're great. And so Saturday,
I've never had them.
I just gave them a try. We'll see what happens. And so I have my contacts in Saturday, watching football. My buddy calls me, invites me over to his house to watch the games last night. Well, I'm really bad at rubbing my eyes. I'll rub my eyes. My eyes will get itchy. I'll rub my eyes, and so I'm really bad about it now with contacts. So at probably 9:30, I rub my eye. One of my contacts falls out. Can't find it. It's gone. So I'm like, I got to take my other one out. I have to take that other one out.
Oh, no.
And then at 1:45 in the morning, I have to drive home from my friend's house to my house. I'll tell you, Brett, I was really relying on the white lines on the road to guide me home because I couldn't see much.
Hey, Brian, I know the feeling. It wasn't a loss of contacts.
Yes.
As I told you in the prime contact wearing years, my eyes were red enough. I didn't need to be gouging at them.
Yes, I was very worried I was going to get pulled over and they were going to ask me a lot of questions and I was going to have to try to explain to them. No, officer, I just lost my contacts.
No, officer?
And
Is there a problem, officer?
Is there a problem? Can you step out and take these tests for me? Sure, officer.
Sure, I can, but I can't see anything.
I can't see anything. No, so that was interesting on Saturday night.
We're going to get to the whole weekend, and Tennessee fans. Look, to the person on Twitter that's already offered me $1,000 to never pick Tennessee like that again. we can deal.
Hit me up. I'll take it for sure.
I'll be glad to make a deal with you. In the history of haunted houses, this is one of the all-time Tennessee bad efforts at the Swamp.
Yeah, it was ugly from start to finish.
As I said last week, before the game, you're not playing Spurrier. You're not playing Urban. You're not even playing Zucky.
Yeah.
You were playing Billy Napier.
Yeah.
And get handled.
Well, and then I know we'll talk
and
about
a bad look.
And then after the game, the whole
the bad look.
The bad look. Yeah, I mean it was.
Now I don't blame Amari Thomas for on the taking the knee.
Right.
I mean, because he was he looked like to me like he tried to pull up even.
Right.
But you keep playing.
Oh yeah.
But then everything that happened in for Florida's players to be pointing and taunting them heading to the visitors' locker room.
Oh yeah.
It was just one of the in your face moments ever in a series that you didn't think Florida could degrade Tennessee any more than they have in the past. I think they did Saturday.
I think you're right. Before I give you the little rundown for the show today, we did get a text message while we were talking about the Missouri game. This texter says it was a flag. There were two of the same number on that last play, but it was on Kansas State, so double number out there. Supposedly,
so it was a flag.
That's what he's saying. I flipped it over right when that game was over. I flipped it to the next one. So maybe they said that on the broadcast and I just missed it.
How many more times we got to have the double number stuff?
It feels like it's been a lot this year, Brett. It feels like it pops up.
I've got an easy fix. I've got an easy fix.
What's that?
Especially so it was on Kansas State, right?
Yes, it was on Kansas State. So they just didn't say anything about it. It would be declined anyway. So
I've got an easier fix then.
Okay.
You only travel 70 on the road.
That's a good point.
We can really get out of this duplicate number stuff.
Yeah.
But gosh, nobody wants to tell a 20-year-old you can't do something.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it feels like maybe it's just because we're only done.
TikTok giveth, TikTok taketh away.
Yes, but no, it feels like it's a problem this year. This is the second or third time we've talked about double numbers on a special teams play. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, we'll talk a little bit about the Tigers versus Tigers battle this weekend in St. Louis, or as Brett likes to call it, the Zoo in the Lou, taking place this weekend between Memphis and Missouri. It just got a little more interesting, like we were just talking about with that Missouri win over the weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about that at 3:30. 3:45, we'll talk about the updated top 25. The AP top 25 came out yesterday, so we'll talk about what it looks like now after week 3. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us to talk about the weekend in college football. At 4:30, we'll get to our Sissy's Log Cabin look back at the weekend in the SEC. We'll go through all of the games in the SEC this weekend. A lot more conference games, or a couple conference games in there that we'll have to discuss those first conference games for those teams before it really gets underway this weekend. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Colin Cody from WREG Channel 3. He's one of their sports reporters and anchors. He'll join us to talk Tigers and some of the other college football teams in this area. 5:30, we'll get to our Ruth's Chris Monday Night Football preview. We'll make our picks. We'll also do our Big Four for all of the 4 teams. One list, 4 quarterbacks from any of those 4 teams playing tonight. Then at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But we are sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale, it's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers. Up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas, and free upgrades on all in-stock spas. And don't forget about the 24-month same as cash. It's still available only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
We want you to be a part of the show at 901-360-8255. He's Bryant, I'm Brett. We're Sportstime. We're here until 6 o'clock, and be a part of it at 901-360-8255 from our Family Leisure Studios. We're Sportstime, and this hour is brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. The one and only Lexus dealership in town, and the 2024's on the way. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the weekend of college football. I said it to start the show. It seemed like a lot of people were downplaying this weekend, talking about how it was going to be kind of a sleeper. Not a ton of compelling games, not a ton of top 25 versus top 25 matchups, or really top-tier conference matchups around the country, but it did not disappoint. I mean, I think it's crazy that we would all assume that college football would disappoint on a weekend, especially week 3, but it definitely didn't. There were some interesting games early. Boston College got up on Florida State, and Florida State only won that game by 2. South Carolina got up early on Georgia, and Georgia had to come back and win that game. Then in the nightcap, you had Florida just really taking it to Tennessee and making it look pretty easy against the Vols. But then really what I thought was the biggest story of the weekend was that Colorado State game. There hadn't been many games in college football, a 9:30 kickoff, that has the country as locked in, both watching the game on social media, really everywhere, like this Colorado team did in week 3. I mean, nobody was really watching for Colorado State. I think those what Jay Norvell said earlier in the week did kind of fire it up a little bit, but I can't remember the last time at 11:30, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, everybody in the country, whether it be East Coast, West Coast, here in Memphis, are tweeting out about this Colorado team, about this game between Colorado and Colorado State. So while the Buffalo are 3-0 now going into a big game against Oregon, I mean, what they've done, just bringing a spotlight to that school and really bring a spotlight to some of these late-night games, has been really incredible to watch, and it was really fun seeing everybody so engaged at 1:30 in the morning when we're going to double OT. I think we lost Brett, so we'll get him back in a minute. I'll just go to my not top story of the day. I'll go ahead and play it right here.
Not top story of the day.
All right, my not top story of the day is the NFL. Week 2 of the NFL was another great one. Brett talked earlier about all of the underdogs that have won, the road teams that have won, but it's also been the underdogs who have come up big and have really done really well in these early games, and that didn't change on Sunday, really. I mean, there were a lot of really fun games from start to finish. Now, let me tell you, the Cowboys, they win again, 30-10 over the Jets. Another big win. They're now outscoring their opponents 70-10 through 2 weeks, looking dominant. But then some of the other games throughout the day, I thought the Colts-Texans, 2 young quarterbacks, was very interesting, even though Anthony Richardson was injured. And then the nightcap, Dolphins versus Patriots, was a really fun game. I say look out for the Dolphins because I think they're going to be a very sneaky, good team. I thought we had Brett back, but I think we do have Brett. Brett, you there?
Yes, I am. Brent, Brian, where do you want me to, top or not top story?
Just go to your, I already did both mine. Just start with your top and we'll keep it rolling.
I'll roll with my top story. Coach Prime, he rolls on.
Yeah.
And the late Saturday night win, the September college football story of the year, maybe sports story of the year could be developing. Remains to be seen, but he remains undefeated at Oregon this week and without two-way star Justin Hunter for a while, I'm afraid. They won 5 games the last 2 years, already won 3 this year. At Oregon this week, home against USC next week. If they beat Oregon, game day, big noon, 60 Minutes, Meet the Press, The View, the Today Show, all will be in Boulder for the USC game. My not top story, just as bad as always for UT at the Swamp. Joe Milton was not Super Joe. He was Average Joe. Had some moments, and the announcers, they always go gaga over his arm. Yeah, it's big, but it's not. But he's not any better as a quarterback. And if Josh Heupel can't fix him at quarterback, it may be unfixable.
It was. I know we'll talk about it later, but it was just. It wasn't even really competitive, that game between Florida and Tennessee. I mean,
never did you think? Yeah, Tennessee's got the advantage here. Never.
No, which blew my mind because I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I think this is a good spot for Florida. It's tough to go down to the Swamp," and I agree with all of that. But I was really surprised with how uncompetitive that game was, and you know, it really kind of set off the alarms with this Tennessee team for me. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's get to our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the weekend for the Tigers, the Memphis Tigers, and the Missouri Tigers, and we'll look forward to this game this weekend in St. Louis. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetceteraSouthLLC.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South.
Jeep Adventure Days and Ram Power Days are going strong at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. And if you're ready to save big bucks, we Gossett! Show off your style in 2023 Fiat 500X Pop 4-door, Gossett priced at $28,990 or $354 a month with 0% APR. Or take your pick with 2023 Jeep Renegade or 2023 Dodge Charger, now just $422 a month. And if you're looking for big savings on your 2023 Ram 1500, get to Gossett for just $587 a month. And if we don't have it, Gossett can order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 3500 Elmas financed through Chrysler. Pop PP 988,763. MSRP 31,355. Renegade PPP 45,607. MSRP 30,500. Charger PH 508,657. MSRP 35,930. Ram PN 693 3965. MSRP 48,330. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/30/2023 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Whether it's date night, a birthday, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris. Open in the Regalia Shopping Center at the corner of Poplar and Ridgeway. Treat yourself to one of our classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and broiled to perfection. Then serve sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. Visit Ruth'sChris.com to make a reservation. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Memphis. This is how celebrating more is done.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brett and Bryant with you. We're sitting in our family leisure studios, and we talked a little college football. We'll talk a lot of college football over the next 2.5 hours, but we gotta talk about this upcoming game in St. Louis between Memphis and Missouri. We know kind of the feeling around this game after this game was supposed to be a home game here in
Hard
Memphis. It really is, and now it's moved up to St. Louis.
Should be.
And we know why. I mean, for Missouri, this was a way for them to get out of a true road game and for them to play in St. Louis, obviously a great recruiting spot for them and to get kind of more attention to that brand at Missouri. So there's going to be a lot of hard feelings around this one. But now Missouri, after what they did, after what I thought was two really unimpressive games to start the season for Missouri, they go out and beat Kansas State at home by 3. And now it's up to the Tigers. We'll see what they can do in St. Louis. But like you said, there's going to be a lot of hard feelings around this one in St. Louis.
It's going to be, but it's also going to be Saturday night. It'll be a big game of a matchup of two undefeated teams.
Yeah.
Tigers versus Tigers. It'll be said a lot. And Luther Burden getting to play in St. Louis, probably the most celebrated St. Louis recruit maybe that Missouri's ever gotten. There have probably been Ezekiel Elliott was bigger. Alvin Miller back in the 80s went to Notre Dame, and the running back Van Zandt in the 80s that went to Mizzou and unfortunately got hurt right after he got there. But Luther Burden wants to be at home, and if there's one Missouri player, first of all, if it's one, that's how it can encroach on more than one. That, kind of comfortable after last week's win. I'm just saying from a Missouri point of view, Tiger fans, don't get mad at me. But, we just beat Kansas State. This is just Memphis.
Right.
If there's one, that has a way of getting around to more than one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we'll just have to see how they come out. But, I mean, you talk about Luther Burden kind of going back home, and he's been unbelievable. He was unbelievable on Saturday against Kansas State, 7 receptions for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got the, I think, first touchdown for Missouri in what was a wild play, a really good run after catch and get into the end zone for Luther Burden. But Brady Cook, I mean, has been a quarterback for Missouri. I thought he looked really good against Kansas State, but has been kind of under some scrutiny by those fans. I think a lot of people don't really want him as the starting quarterback. Was booed early at the start of the game against Kansas State. So I'm sure he'll have some confidence coming in after throwing for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I'm excited to see what this Tigers defense can do against this Missouri offense that looked to kind of get something from that air game on Saturday against Kansas State.
Yeah, the running back was Tony Van Zandt in the 80s, and he was Parade Magazine Player of the Year.
Wow.
And a tremendous player. And I think he got hurt in the high school all-star football game. Boy, what a waste. I think that's what happened to him. But Luther Burden is there. And we're going to see a battle of quarterbacks Saturday night at the Dome in St. Louis. And Bryant, right now in college football, you have to have a quarterback that can really do things. He's got to be mobile. Okay, maybe he doesn't have to be, Tim Tebow, but he's got to have some escapability.
Oh, yeah.
And I really believe the best quarterback, if you've got the best quarterback, you should win the game. I think it really falls on quarterback versus quarterback matchup. I know they don't play against each other, but Saturday night in Oxford was a good example.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Haynes King was good. Dart was better at doing both. Haynes King was really good, but you've got to have the better of the two quarterbacks, and they've got to be magic men. They've got to really make something happen. This is a big moment for Seth Hennigan, and it would be, no question, the biggest win of the Ryan Silverfield era, and all the bad blood over the game. And I thought it was horrible that Mizzou, knowing that they could just Bigfoot Laird Veach and the University of Memphis like that, I think you're a really sorry son of a gun when you step on somebody just because you can.
Yeah. I mean, it was we've talked about it a lot. I mean, the whole from start to finish and kind of just the spur of the moment. Hey, we're not coming down to Memphis anymore, and that was a game that I know a lot of people were looking forward to, kind of having an SEC team again at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We know those crowds for SEC games are great, and to have that opportunity again, I mean, you go back, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, even UCLA. I know they're not an SEC team, but a big Power 5 team. The Tigers have a pretty good track record of when those teams come to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, it's a very tough game for them, and Memphis finds ways to win those games. So to be moved to St. Louis, I know Missouri people would argue that, well, you're still getting a neutral site. It's not a home game for Missouri, but I mean, come on. I mean, you really think that there's going to be more or even close to the amount of Memphis fans that there are Missouri fans? It really is just ridiculous that game was forced, like you said. I mean, really just kind of strong-armed into St. Louis.
It won't. Obviously, it won't be on campus, but it will be a partisan Mizzou crowd. We're going to visit with Tom Ackerman on Wednesday at 3:30 from KMOX in St. Louis about this game and about that question. The Cardinals are out of town this weekend, so there's no Cardinal baseball influence, and other than tonight to see Adam Wainwright, why would you want to go watch the Cardinals? And so we're going to see. And Mizzou's undefeated. Everything set up perfectly. If Mizzou's really going to ever draw a crowd in St. Louis, they do in basketball, especially for the Illinois game. And they've even played Illinois to kick off the season.
I think we lost Brett again, but I'll just kind of go on to what he was saying. I mean, he's right. If there's a time to get a big crowd in St. Louis, it would be right now. I think there's a lot of energy and excitement around this Missouri team, not just in Columbia. I think all across the state of Missouri. I mean, you go out, you beat a top 25 team. When there's been a lot of questions about this Missouri team, what can they do this year? Where will they finish in the SEC? I know a lot of people kind of predicted them to finish kind of low in their division, and so I think to get a win like that before you start conference play, they'll now play the Tigers on Saturday before going to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. So there should be a lot of excitement around this team. There should be a lot of buzz after beating a top 25 team. So I would expect there to be a big Missouri crowd. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue that there will be more Memphis fans than there are Missouri fans, but I think there should be a really good crowd for this game that's largely Missouri. So now it'll be up for the Tigers and a Tiger team that, you played a road game against Arkansas State, but this would be a big test for them, and I think a test that comes at a good time before you have to come back home and play Boise State and then play Tulane right after that and really kind of get into the bulk of the conference slate. I think it's going to be a really, really tough test, and when you kind of go and you look back at this Missouri team, I mentioned Brady Cook threw for 356 yards, 2 touchdowns against Kansas State. Luther Burden, who was their top recruit ever to sign with Missouri, goes out for 114 yards on 7 catches and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, who do what does the secondary look like? I mean, who steps up at secondary? You have 2 young corners for the Tigers and who gets that assignment of Luther Burden on Saturday. So I think you're going to see Missouri go a lot through the air. But Brett, like you were saying, if the time is now to get a big crowd at St. Louis, it seems like after beating a top 25, now's you're not going to find a better time than now.
This is it, and they're not going to shop many more games there. But for a lot of teams this weekend, after kind of the near-death experiences for a lot of teams last weekend, the Tigers didn't play well last Thursday night. Let's be honest about it. And Eli Drinkwitz was plenty mad at his fans over the booing of Brady Cook, and there were a lot of boos last Thursday night.
Looks like we lost, but we're having trouble, some technical difficulties with getting Brett on. But I think he's right. I mean, obviously, this is going to be a quarterback showdown. You're going to see two, I think, really good quarterbacks. I think Brady Cook and Seth Hennigan are two really fine quarterbacks. It should be a very fun game. I know we'll talk about it a lot through the week. Breaking down this game, what to look for. I already think they're going to try to throw the ball a lot on this Memphis secondary. But let's get to a kind of an early break, and then when we come back, we'll take a look at the updated top 25. Who are the movers and shakers this week for the AP? We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, Certainteed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One, inviting you to join me and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner every Monday this season. It's Westwood One's 45th year of bringing you primetime NFL games, and the schedule is packed with great matchups. Plus, you'll hear Rich Eisen from the studios with interviews and the latest news around the NFL. Don't miss any of the action every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
O'Reilly. Do you need new wiper blades but aren't sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you the best options for your specific vehicle and even install your new wipers for free. And right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades, plus get 2 times O-Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ready for a new ride? We got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 41 MPG Highway, we got it with 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. Get some EV action in 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV. 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus, check out 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And Gossett will include a free charger with your EV purchase, all 36-month leases, plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678,605, MSRP 21,610, Nero P507,859, MSRP 41,090, EV6 P56,109,64, MSRP 49,687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We got Brett back. Had some technical difficulties, but we're back and ready to go. And Brett, I know we're going to get into this top 25, but I just saw something on Twitter about Missouri that I did want to point out while we're kind of talking about them right now. Ryan Wingo, who is a 5-star wide receiver prospect from Missouri. He lives in St. Louis. He just got done with an official visit to Conference foe Texas, but now he's going to be at the game in St. Louis between Missouri and Memphis, watching Missouri. It looks like it's a race between Texas and Missouri for the 5-star receiver. So another reason why Missouri wants to have this game in St. Louis to give Ryan Wingo a show and try to get him swayed to go and be a Tiger.
Yeah, they're going to present as that. I think his brother played at Arkansas, and I think Arkansas has been in the mix for him. I think that his brother was Ronnie, but certainly for Mizzou, they want to shine in the Lou. They would be 27th this week if you count it all the way down, and we do. Everybody does.
Always. And you're right. His brother is Ronnie Wingo.
Yeah, in the others receiving vote, hard to believe the first others receiving vote is Clemson, and then the team that Mizzou beat Saturday, Kansas State, would be 28th. But Florida in the top 25, nobody saw that coming after Utah, did they?
No, not at all. I mean, that performance against Utah was wild. I mean, everybody was talking about how Florida was dead after that game, and now to get that big win over Tennessee. And I just saw, I think, 3 Florida players one Tennessee player will be suspended for the first half of their upcoming game this weekend. So they'll be down 3 guys in the first half. But they're playing Charlotte, so they'll walk all over Charlotte. That will be an easy win for Florida. Charlotte might never win a game again, but that's beside the point. But I do think, Florida being in the top 25, I don't think I definitely didn't think we would see that after the loss to Utah.
I didn't think Florida would be there all year. And now Billy Napier and Eli Drinkwitz, both with their first 2 big signature wins, they can really feel better for this week about their respective programs. But Tennessee with the big plunge and deserved. But if you don't think there's too many people in the top 25, look at Tennessee being in there.
Yeah, no, you're right about that, and I mean, I just have a lot of questions. I know we're gonna talk to David Cobb here at the top of the hour, but I've got a lot of questions about this Tennessee team because, we talked about with a lot of people. I know we talked with Ty Richardson about this Florida team, and maybe they've just, it was just a wild first game and they just weren't ready, and now they are. But I remember Ty saying if Arkansas wants to get a win in the Swamp over Florida, this is the year to do it. People in Tennessee were saying the same thing going down there. We can't buy a win against Florida in the Swamp. This is our time to do it. So I was shocked, but like you said, a big drop now at 23 for the Vols.
Yeah, and it's not a lot of SEC.
No.
There's only one SEC in the top 10, and that's hard to believe 3 weeks in. And in Georgia, even with a scary game.
No, you're absolutely right. And then you talk about a plunge, another kind of drop down for Alabama after they really couldn't get anything going against USF. I mean, what were they, a 40-point favorite over USF? And it was a little dicey in the first half.
It was, and Alabama just couldn't do anything throwing the ball, and I now they're going back to Jalen Milroe this week. I mean, he what they see that after last week, maybe it's what they saw on the field, and it's just all they have in him. But Ty Simpson hadn't shown really anything, and I don't think South Florida is that good.
No. I mean, I haven't seen anything out of South Florida that makes me think they're going to be the surprise team in the American. It was just, obviously, it was kind of storming down there in Tampa. But, I mean, I just haven't seen an Alabama team look like that in a really, really long time. And it was very concerning. I know that the talk is going to be about the quarterback position because of kind of everything we've seen over the past couple of weeks. But that's not the only issue that Alabama has. There's a lot of issues on that Alabama team that they really need to figure out. And obviously this week, a big game starting conference against Ole Miss, and then it just gets harder for Alabama as they go forward. So that was scary on Saturday if you're a Bama believer or love Nick Saban. I mean, that was very concerning.
And it was scary for Mike Norvell at Chestnut Hill against Boston College, but they won. But it was kind of the theme of the weekend is to send everybody into a fourth quarter game. Now, a lot of those teams, again, like I said earlier, they'll look back and be glad of that type of game.
Sure.
I think Kirby Smart probably privately loved that they got pushed like that. But Spencer Rattler, he couldn't do it by himself, and he wasn't that good. But a lot of teams got pushed, and FSU got pushed. And we could look up and after Notre Dame and Ohio State, one of those two will be eliminated for this weekend. I do think it's still wide open on a national perspective, but this weekend with the undefeated teams playing undefeated teams, it will have a way of separating.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a really fun weekend. But you talk about Florida State and that scare against Boston College. I mean, I get it. You're on the road in a conference game. It can get a little dicey. But for Florida State to go out there, I know they were down a couple of starters on the offensive line, down a starter in the secondary. But, you put up 3 points in the first quarter, and next thing you know, it's 10-3. You're in a hole, and they score 28 points in the second and third quarter, but, just couldn't get anything going in the fourth quarter and almost let Boston College come back by scoring 13 points in the fourth quarter. And so, I mean, I love this Florida State team. I think they're really good. I think they have great weapons. But now they go to Clemson for a big game against the Tigers, and I think that will show us a lot. Even though Clemson has been kind of down, I think that's going to show us a lot about this Florida State team on Saturday.
Maybe the best four-quarter performance, and it's happening again because where they play. Now this time it was at East Lansing.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a kind of normal time zone. But what Washington did to Michigan State, I know Michigan State's got a lot of things going on off the field,
sure.
and if there was any lingering doubt that Mel Tucker is going to be terminated, you see a lot of the breaking stories today that it's in the process. Nobody can be shocked by that. But what Michael Penix and the Husky Dogs went into East Lansing and laid it on them.
Yeah, and for Washington, I mean, that offense is incredible. We've talked a lot about Michael Penix and kind of that Heisman campaign he's putting together has looked really good. You know, Brett, though, the problem is I completely forgot about this game because it was on Peacock, and I'm just not trained yet to immediately think at 2:30 on a Saturday, oh, gotta go watch the game on Peacock, gotta go pull up Peacock. So I completely forgot about this one. It's not the same like ESPN Plus. I've gotten used to like going on ESPN Plus and seeing what games are on. I'm gonna have to get used to going on to Peacock and finding these games because I was pretty disappointed Saturday night when I pulled out my phone and go, oh man, I forgot Washington was playing Michigan State on Peacock today. That's why I didn't see it. It's ridiculous.
We're going to have to get used to it, just like we're used to going to the two great places for the commissary, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. And if you want to watch the Monday night football games, two great places to do that. Can accommodate it 75 easy at the Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, and about 30 in the original in Germantown. Perfect for big groups, perfect for fun times, and you know the food. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs done the Memphis way. The slow-cooked, authentic Memphis-style way. Begin that barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the barbecue nachos or the tamales, the smoked chicken wings. That's just for starters. And if you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733. Dig into the ribs, the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread, and you can order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. Those party packs, perfect for tailgating, perfect for game watching, and the desserts like the lemon icebox pie, the banana pudding, strawberry cake. You can buy the whole pies and the whole cakes at the commissary, either location, 901-754-5540, or go online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. Great party areas. I'm going to be at the Collierville commissary tomorrow at lunch. I can promise you that. Catering, tailgating, orders to go. You can get it all at the commissary, 901-754-5540, or go online at commissarybbq.com.
Well, let's get to a break, and when we come back to start our second hour, we'll talk some college football with David Cobb.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or two. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero, P5078859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealers.com.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah is about to blow my socks off.
That's right, Randy. Get 41 MPG Highway with the 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 do it signing.
What about those cool new EVs?
I've got EV action with the 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 do it signing. And the 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 do it signing. Plus, you'll get a free charger with every EV purchase. All 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Everyone agrees that 117 Prime is Memphis's premier downtown dining experience. But what if you could go one step further and have 117 Prime at home? As hard as it is to believe, 117 Prime, which features some of the best food in Memphis, is available for curbside or takeout. Imagine just swinging by Prime and picking up not just something good, but something great. 117 Prime makes the best steaks in Memphis, and you could eat it in your living room. The best food in Memphis, enjoy the way you really want to. Pantsless.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Joining Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Let's go ahead and get David Cobb on and talk some college football with him, because it was a busy Saturday. We've already talked about it a lot. I think it lived up to the hype a little bit more than some people thought it would. David, thanks so much for joining us. And I want to start off with a little two-part question here. Is Bama bad, and is the U back?
Yes, without a doubt, Alabama is bad. I couldn't believe it yesterday when they opened up as like an 11.5-point favorite against Ole Miss after that dud showing they put forth at South Florida. I mean, that South Florida program is in the pits. Yeah. Like, Alex Golish is a nice hire down there, but he's in year one after walking into a train wreck. And that used to be the type of game that Florida would just sleepwalk to victory in. And I realized they were on the road. They weren't at Bryant-Denny. But I'm not going to sit here and believe for 1 second as though there was some sort of hostile environment they were in on Saturday. So the fact that Alabama is in a close game with South Florida in the fourth quarter, it's hard to process. It's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that we might be seeing the dynasty unfold and crumble before our eyes. That's tough to grapple with. And then the second part, apparently Jay Morgan's out today to hear me say this, but it sure feels like the U is back.
Well, you know, they just keep dominating. I mean, I know it's Bethune-Cookman, but I mean, a solid win for them.
Yeah, they've got a pretty clear path to like 5-0 or 6-0 as well. They could get in the mix in the ACC because after the way Florida State looked at Boston College, man, that ACC is up for grabs. Sure no is. Divisions this year. Pretty fun league. I mean, who's the bell cow? I don't know. Florida State Clemson this Saturday will help determine that. But then you also have North Carolina. You have Miami in the picture as well. So, not to mention Louisville. Maybe they can make some noise. it's an interesting league, and the U sure feels more back at the moment than it has in a long, long time.
And David, that Alabama line against Ole Miss, it did come out originally at 11.5, and now it's plunged to 5.5 or 6. Classic middle opportunity for some of the sharps out there, whoever they are. When somebody tells you they're a professional gambler, you know they're broke. But for some of the sharks out there, they may encounter that. But David, now rumors of all kind of locker room dissension, players wanting Jalen Milroe to play, the video of players after Buckner got sacked a couple of times, nobody even helping him up. This is very un-Alabama. If you had to redo Alabama win total, what would it be redone to? I mean, whatever you had in the preseason, scrap that. What would you have it as now?
Yeah, if I'm setting the odds for a regular season win total for Alabama right now, as they sit here at 2-1, I'm putting it at about 8.5. That's where I'm going with Alabama.
And would you go over or under?
Yeah, I would probably tentatively go over, thinking they can get to 9. Because look at the rest of the SEC.
That is true.
There's very little that threatens you out there. There's very few teams who you look at. In fact, there's nobody who you look at on the rest of Alabama's schedule and think, well, that's a definite loss. I mean, Georgia's not on there, and even if they were, Georgia's had some problems too. So
LSU and Tuscaloosa?
That's favorable. You get them at home. Tennessee looks like garbage. You get them at home. At A&M, though, that's awfully difficult. At Kentucky, looks like it could be a challenge for Alabama this season. And then the Iron Bowl is on the road this year. So 9 wins with what we've seen from Alabama to this point feels like it would be a good outcome.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Well, speaking of LSU, did we overreact to LSU after that Week 1 loss to Florida State? Because since then, I know it was an FCS opponent Week 2 and then Mississippi State this weekend, but they've looked pretty dominant. Do you think we just, kind of a loss like that, they didn't really show up in the second half against Florida State, do you think we just overreacted and said, well, maybe they're not as good as we thought they'd be this year?
Well, maybe some people did, but I always felt like Brian Kelly was going to get this team right. And they were a dud in Game 1 against Florida State. But I think their win over Mississippi State, if you want to overreact, might be the most impressive single-game performance by an SEC team to date in the 2023 season. Because Starkville was fired up for that game. The cowbells were a-clanging, and LSU went in there and dominated in all facets of the game. Offensively, Jaden Daniels looked incredible. Defensively, that Mississippi State offense has a lot of work to do, but LSU made life really, really difficult on them. So LSU, with no conference losses, the FSU loss being out of the league, they're my favorite, and probably most people's favorite at this point, to win the league. So, well, at least the SEC West. I mean, could they beat Georgia? Absolutely. Georgia's put its flaws on display as well. But, yeah, so LSU, to me, it could be the best team in the league. Definitely, at the moment, looks like the best team in the SEC West.
David, the same old in Gainesville for Tennessee. And this one was really startling because I said earlier, if Josh Heupel can't get Joe Milton worked out, nobody can.
Yeah, it's amazing how much faith Josh Heupel has put in Joe Milton over the years, dating back to Heupel recruiting Milton as a prospect, then going out and getting him from Michigan when he looked to transfer, then starting him over Hendon Hooker, and now finally they've stayed together, and this is supposed to be the moment for Joe Milton. I think Tennessee's issues went well beyond just the quarterback play in Gainesville. The quarterback play was not excellent. It was okay. Where Tennessee went wrong in the Swamp is the utter lack of discipline. The penalties are a serious issue for Tennessee. The pre-snap stuff, I mean, repeatedly, Tennessee put itself in 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15 because they couldn't get the cadence down. And I'm sure being in a hostile environment for the first time with a quarterback who's not been in that situation for quite some time didn't help at all. But you've got to get rid of some of the self-inflicted type of stuff. And it's why I picked Florida to win the game, because if you watch Tennessee play against Austin Peay in Week 2, you could see some of these issues. And That Austin Peay team, by the way, guys, that Tennessee was in a battle with, they lost on Saturday 63-3 against East Tennessee State. So, I mean, what is Tennessee doing here? This team could be really bad. I mean, we'll see. Maybe Josh Heupel gets them right. Maybe what we saw in Florida was just a reoccurrence of the performance they put forth against South Carolina last year. And maybe that's just a bug in Josh Heupel's system where you go with this offensive tempo and this scheme. Sometimes you just produce occasional dud performances. But the answer could be a lot worse. The worst case scenario here is that Tennessee is no better than a 500 team, and Hendon Hooker was covering up a lot of issues. So at some point down the line, maybe sooner rather than later, if Joe Milton doesn't improve, you start to think about Nico and putting him in and planning for the future. But for now, give him another week or two at least, because if they can clean up some of the undisciplined play and the penalties and start to maybe get off the field on third downs defensively, which they could not do to save their life against Florida, maybe this team can still be respectable. But if they clean some of that stuff up and the offense is still underperforming, then I think you do have to start thinking about a quarterback change.
Well, it gets a little tricky here for Tennessee after that loss to Florida, because now you go back home against UTSA, then at home against South Carolina, at home against Texas A&M, and then on the road against Alabama. I mean, none of those are cakewalk games, and we, like you said, we saw them struggle with Austin Peay just a week ago. How do you think these next 4 weeks go for Tennessee?
I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I think there are going to be moments where Tennessee is going to look like last year's version of itself. Right. And we saw those moments at times in the season opener against Virginia, which, by the way, Virginia is the worst Power 5 conference team in college football this season. So take any of that for what it's worth, right? But, Milton hasn't been horrific. He's made the right decision most of the time. Even the pick that he threw was largely a byproduct of the fact that he was getting hit as he released the football. So, Give him a minute here to get his feet underneath him. I still think there's a chance they could come out and handle business against South Carolina. What is Texas A&M? We're going to find out. I mean, they crushed Louisiana Monroe, they crushed New Mexico, but then they laid down and rolled over and played dead at Miami. So we're going to find out who A&M is this week. And then you go to Bryant-Denny, and golly, that could be a game of the such a letdown. I mean, it looked like almost a lock to be a top 10 matchup when you look at it before the season. But now you look at it, Tennessee will be lucky to be ranked going to Alabama, and who knows where Alabama will be at that point. So ultimately, Tennessee can salvage this thing. If it wins at Alabama, I mean, it could lose against South Carolina at home, and a win in Bryant-Denny makes up for a multitude of sins, including a loss at Florida, including a dud against a South Carolina or a Texas A&M. And so, to me, it almost feels like we're going to be playing a weekly game of roulette here in the SEC this season, with every team except for Georgia, but maybe even including Georgia, at risk on a given Saturday in this conference.
David, I'm ready. Look, I think the story of college football through 3 weeks, it's been Colorado. Mm-hmm. It's been fun. That game Saturday night, it kept the whole country up watching it, and they were able to pull it out. And the 98-yard drive by Shedeur Sanders, I think right now he may be if Caleb Williams isn't the leader for the Heisman, for him winning his back-to-back, it could be Shedeur Sanders. But I submit that Duke might be the second best story.
Yeah, everybody was kind of writing off Duke this year because, the schedule got a lot tougher and they're going to regress after an impressive year one under Mike Elko. But that quarterback, Riley Leonard, that Duke has, he's a star, man. And you know what? I deserve a little bit of a backlash from all your Duke listeners out there. Because when I was going through the list of teams that could win the ACC just a few minutes ago, I didn't mention them. And I should have, because they're off to an incredible start, including that win over Clemson in week one. That was a standalone contest on a Monday night. And, Mike Elko can coach, man. He can really, really coach. And I think you're going to see his name come up in this cycle because if he leads Duke to consecutive bowl appearances, which it certainly looks like he's going to do after what he walked into, then I think that makes him attractive for a Michigan State. And, the work is being done behind the scenes now to get rid of Mel Tucker with cause for everything going on down there at Michigan State. So keep an eye on Mike Elko. Maybe he wants to be a lifer at Duke like Cutcliffe was. That would be awesome. I love when that kind of stuff happens in this sport. But if not, then he's certainly somebody who's, I think, emerged as a high-profile, big-time Power 5 football coach over the last 18 months.
Yeah. Talking to David Cobb from CBS Sports. And David, the Memphis Tigers, they're going to go up to St. Louis this weekend to take on Missouri, who just got a 3-point win over 15th-ranked Kansas State on Saturday. What have you thought about this Missouri team this season? I know we haven't talked much about Memphis through these first 3 weeks, but what have you thought about the Memphis Tigers as well?
Yeah, I love this game. I wish it was going to be at the Liberty Bowl. This is the one that was supposed to be in Memphis, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and they moved it to a quote neutral site in St. Louis, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
You nailed
it.
Well,
hopefully, some Tiger people make the drive up there. Stop at Lambert's or something on the way. I might have my Missouri geography a little backwards there, but anyway, Missouri. That win over Kansas State, I think, is the best win by an SEC team this season in terms of quality of opponent. The LSU win was the most impressive, going to Starkville and just crushing Mississippi State. But in terms of an SEC team beating a quality opponent, Missouri beating a reigning Big 12 champion, high quality Kansas State team is a head turner.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri wasn't great in its first two games. Almost lost against MTSU. So for them to come out and put together a 4-quarter game, I was impressed. I don't know if I really believe that Missouri is significantly better than it has been to this point under Eli Drinkwitz, but if nothing else, that game's going to give them a little bit of confidence because in the first few years of his tenure, they have really struggled to break through and get a win of any significance. It's, hey, take care of business against your FCS and your group of five, pick off a couple of the lower tier SEC teams, and then you're 6-6 and going to Shreveport or something like that. Right. So maybe this is a little bit of juice for Missouri now, and I think their defense is solid. Offensively, I don't believe Brady Cook is a top half of the SEC type of quarterback. I still feel like they've struggled to get Luther Burden as involved as he probably should be, although he had a big game on Saturday. But, I think I like Missouri in the matchup straight up against Memphis. Memphis was lucky to survive against Navy. But the Memphis Tigers have a chance here because if there's ever a spot where Missouri would have an emotional letdown, it would be this, right? They just rushed the field, 61-yard field goal to win the game against a top 15 opponent. And now we got to go to St. Louis and play Memphis, right? I don't know, that could be, an element here, a little bit of a letdown spot maybe for Mizzou.
David, we've got some good ones this week, top 25 matchups against each other everywhere. But in the big one, number 6 Ohio State at Notre Dame against number 9 Notre Dame. Game day is going to be there. I would love to hear the backroom meetings of deciding on being there to pump that game, to pump that big crowd, for everybody to go over to NBC on Saturday night and away from Disney, ESPN, and Big Noon's they're riding Coach Sanders. They're going to be at Colorado and Oregon.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, Colorado is taking so much oxygen out of college football right now that it almost feels like Colorado, Oregon trumped Ohio State, Notre Dame, which is crazy that we're in that position. But the reason that's the case is because what Deion's doing transcends the typical college football lines of fanhood. This is going into all facets of culture, which I guess is kind of what Deion Sanders has always done, is transcended whatever sport he was playing at the moment to attract a broader audience of more casual fans and spectators. And so, I mean, I got to say this on the Colorado thing. One thing that's really bothered me over the last couple of days is that late hit that Travis Hunter took in the game against Colorado State. I mean, that was a total cheap shot. And the reports out of Colorado today are that it lacerated his liver. I mean, come on, man.
It's crazy.
Colorado State's got to sit that safety who did that for however long Travis Hunter is out. Like, for however long Travis Hunter is on the shelf, it feels like that safety who made that hit for Colorado State should be suspended as well, because that was a cheap shot. And I understand it's a rivalry game and things are going to get chippy, but that went well beyond the typical rah-rah rivalry pushing and shoving. That was blatant, unnecessary contact. That was not a football play, and it resulted in a serious injury. I mean, maybe if Travis Hunter pops up and he's fine, like we're talking about it in a different light, but that was a nasty hit. And, you know, interesting, like, to see sort of some of that come out. But in the long run, like, obviously what Deion is doing for college football right now and for Colorado in particular is pretty incredible, to the point that it's relegated a titanic matchup between Ohio State and Notre Dame almost maybe to a second-tier status.
Yeah, to the undercard. And David, I think it highlights, and I so resented that during the SEC, the Alabama, even Georgia, and the years at LSU that they were good, and even the year that Auburn won it, and, you know, Florida's won a national championship in this SEC dynasty, is that it was manufactured, that it was created by ESPN. They're really not that good, and they're just propping them up because they show them all the time. And that, you know, kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy of, you know, if they get all that attention, of course they're going to get all the players. Well, now it shows we will follow and we will gravitate to whatever story it is. The story is Boulder. The story is Colorado and Oregon Saturday night. We go where the action is.
Yeah, and I think as all this is unfolding and as the eyes gravitate to Colorado and as Alabama struggles, it feels like a pivotal moment in college football. I really can't remember a changing of the guard sort of happening before our eyes like this. I mean, you have Kirby in Georgia, finally breaking through and all that. But, I mean, going into next season, college football, as we know it, is forever going to change with the conference realignment, with the expansion of the playoff and those things. And now we have a new coach rising to the forefront, becoming the face, the picture of college football, when that has been Nick Saban for so long. And Alabama's fading, Colorado's emerging, conferences are changing. Even Georgia, almighty Georgia, looks beatable. So it's fun. I like this. It's different. It's interesting. And this week goes a long way toward separating the pretenders from the contenders like that. I mean, Colorado is a perfect example. Like, they're almost a 3-touchdown underdog at Oregon. And then, of course, the Ohio State Notre Dame game, the Florida State Clemson game. The list goes on. This week, we start to figure out for real who can be there at the end come college football playoff time.
Well, David, another Pac-12 game this weekend between top 25 teams. 22 UCLA and 11 Utah at 2:30 this weekend. And Utah opens as a 4.5-point favorite in this one at home. But Kyle Whittingham continues to talk about Cam Rising and that if he plays this weekend, if we get him back this weekend, still no clear sign on if Cam Rising, who hasn't played a game this season, will play this weekend against UCLA. How good is this UCLA team? And if Cam Rising doesn't play, how much will that hurt Utah this weekend?
Put your money on Utah. A home favorite of less than a touchdown against UCLA. Utah already has victories over Florida and Baylor, and they are not impressive. But, like, when is Utah, like, impressive or pretty or spectacular in victory? I mean, they beat people up. That's what they do. And I guarantee you, Kyle Whittingham won't even tell the TV crew who's going to start at quarterback. I mean, that's his thing. And that's spreading, by the way. I don't know if y'all caught on to this one. The Virginia game was probably a tough watch for most people this past week, but Virginia told the TV crew that it was going to be Tony Muskett, who was going to start, and then the freshman Calandria came out there and started, and they
Really?
were caught off guard.
Wow.
That's sort of a Kyle Whittingham move, but it's starting to catch on. So no, I bet Rising plays this week. But even if he doesn't, Utah at home against UCLA, which by the way, UCLA starts a freshman at quarterback, Dante Moore, going into that hostile environment in the altitude. I don't care. Honestly, it doesn't matter who plays quarterback. They can run the ball 65 times, and they might. I would take Utah in that game.
All right, I'm going to put my money on it right now. I'm going to go ahead and do that. But, David, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
All right, guys, I appreciate it.
Thanks, David. David Cobb from CBS Sports joining us like he does every Monday. And I know he says he thinks Cam Rising is going to play, but I don't know. That whole injury thing just continues to worry me. When it looked like he was going to start that first game against Florida and still hadn't made a start. Kind of concerns me. I thought last week against Weber State would be a great opportunity for him to get a couple reps, but before this game against UCLA. But that should be a good one. I mean, you've talked about it, Brett, but looking at the schedule, I mean, from 11 a.m. to the last game at 9:30, there's some great games on Saturday.
This is the weekend for a lot of people to make their case, and Ole Miss going into the belly of the beast at Bryant-Denny, they can make their case. Fall is happening in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. All-Star Chevrolet, the first exit when you get into Mississippi on Highway 78, take Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there. You can get a new 23 Silverado truck this week, and you can get financing as low as 0 interest in 3 months with no payments. Your good credit deserves it. You'll get it at All-Star. Drive a Silverado or one of the Traverse. See Kevin or Jeff if you want to do a custom order. And if you're a first responder, military, educator, healthcare professional, recent college grad, September is your month for bonus cash and more at All-Star. See Kevin or Jeff, and they've asked me to thank everyone who brought their cars and their trucks to All-Star to sell. They're paying great cash, and you can get a check today, even if you owe money against it, even if you didn't buy it from All-Star. All-Star certified and pre-owned section. It's loaded, lots of Silverados, Ram trucks, a Denali, an F-150, a great-looking Mercedes. They've got a lot of great vehicles on the lot. If you need service or maintenance, call Sean or Jeff in the All-Star Chevy Service Department. Remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, Mount Moriah, Collierville, or Bartlett. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy today or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll get to our Sissy's Log Cabin look back at the weekend in the SEC.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Hey, sports fans, this is Ultimate Vegas Insider John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Monday Night Report absolutely free on a recorded message line. Mondays last year, 30-4. That's 88% winners. I'm red hot. Call 1-800-216-6615. Cleveland, Pittsburgh is a lock. Plus the total and base the parlay. 5 big plays, John Anthony has you covered. We go 5-0 the season free. 1-800-216-6615. Information wins. John Anthony Sports #1 against the spread. I can prove it. Cleveland, Pittsburgh is a monster. Win the side, win the total. Parlays and teasers cash in. A $200 player wins $2,000 tonight. Recorded message 1-800-216-6615. We go 5-0 the season free. 1-800-216-6615. That's 1-800-216-6615. Or go to JohnAnthonySports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time for a look back at the weekend in the SEC. Brought to you by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies with 9,000 square foot in Laurelwood. Let's go inside the SEC with Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan.
Chad Kelly in the gun formation. 3rd and inches for Ole Miss.
Carlton will kick it. It is on the way, and it is up.
Buck Bellew looking at it, going to pitch it to Herschel Walker, try to get him outside. He's going to get 5.
The snap is high. Kelly grabs it, wants to throw, fires it up in the air. Treadwell can't get it.
It is good! Oh, my!
Get a deflection is caught. Deflection is caught. And down the sidelines is Adebayo. He's to the end zone. He's in there. Touchdown, Ole Miss.
He's got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. He needs a block. There goes Herschel. There goes Herschel.
And you can wrap this one in maroon and white, my friends.
Arkansas is headed to Atlanta. The national champion is clad in big orange.
The day got started early Saturday morning in Starkville, 11 o'clock kick, LSU. They got started early and often, 41-14, all Tigers over Mississippi State. That maybe the LSU Bryant we thought existed, but it also may just speak to how good FSU could be. State's new offense, it was not clicking. 11 of 28, 103 yards for Will Rogers. Jaden Daniels on the other side, you heard David Cobb talk about his extraordinary game. He was 30 of 34 passing, 361 in yards, 2 touchdowns. LSU this week will be at home against Arkansas. State will be at South Carolina. It was really sad to see Will Rogers struggling like that in Coach Arnett's first-year offense.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It really was. And I've heard a lot of Mississippi State fans and Mississippi State media when you're reading after some of these games and listening to some of these people talk after the games of just there's not much there with this offense for Mississippi State. They really can't get anything going. It's not an exciting brand of football, I've heard a lot of people say. And you know, to put up 14 points against LSU. I know they expected more, but you're right about Daniels. I mean, 2 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground. He has been remarkable, and I think you're right. I think a lot of people saw that second half against Florida State and said, man, this was a 3-point game last year that came down to a made field goal as time expired. And this time, Florida State ran away with it. LSU must not be as good as they were last year. And so I think LSU kind of has a chip on their shoulder, and they kind of want to show, hey, we're still that team. It was just, maybe we played a great team. Maybe we weren't as prepared as we should have been week one, but they looked locked in Saturday against Mississippi State.
Mizzou 30-27 on the last second 61-yarder. Biggest win for Eli Drinkwitz. He's now 20-19 at Mizzou. And David Cobb said it was the win of the year for the SEC. That's probably the case. Harrison Meebus, good from 61 yards at the buzzer. Brady Cook, 23 of 35, 356, 2 touchdowns. 3 of 13 on third down, though, for Mizzou. That's something to keep an eye on this week as they host Memphis in St. Louis.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about Missouri earlier in the show, but you talk about Brady Cook, 356 yards, 2 touchdowns. Luther Burden, 114 yards on 7 receptions. They had 2 other receivers with over 70 yards receiving. So I really think they're going to try to move the ball through the air this season, and especially against the Tigers. But David said it very well. I mean, this might be the win in the SEC so far this season. I didn't expect them to go out and really play like this, where they led most of the day, and kind of that second half started out a little dicey. Kansas State put the pressure on, but a massive fourth quarter, 13 points in the fourth quarter is huge, and is exactly what you want to see from Missouri against a top 25 team.
Georgia 24-14 over South Carolina, uncomfortably close for a long time. Dejon Edwards, 118 yards rushing for Georgia. Brock Bowers, 7 catches for 54 yards. 53 yards total rushing for South Carolina. Kind of the more you put on Spencer Rattler, the less you're going to get. He was 22 of 46 for 256, but 2 interceptions. Georgia got the win, and they got the test. Privately, they probably really wanted.
Yeah, and it was a little close. I've talked about it throughout the season, especially with Georgia playing lesser competition and really not showing up in the first quarter, sometimes that bleeding over into the second quarter. And I had that same thought on Saturday. You go down 14-3 to South Carolina, and it really just didn't look like the offense was getting anything going. They completely turned it around in the second half. That defense looked unbelievable in the second half. But for Georgia, once you get deeper into SEC play, you're going to need faster starts, and I really want to see some fast starts from this Georgia team. Now for them, they'll go this upcoming week and play UAB, and then after that you go to Auburn. So I would like in these next couple of weeks to see a fast start, even against UAB. I'd like to see them to come out and really get that foot on the gas and start strong.
A lot of people writing off Alabama after the loss last week to Texas, and just a 17-3 win Saturday at the home of the Buccaneers over South Florida. Ugly quarterback play. Combined, Buckner, Simpson, they were 10 of 23 for 107 yards. Running game for Alabama, pretty good. Roydell Williams, 17 carries for 129. Jace McClellan, 13 for 74. That's where it's going to have to start for them, because everybody's going to pack the 9-man front or really overload to try to make them run the ball. Or rather to make them pass the ball. So Alabama's going to be facing a lot of defensive line play really ready for it. The offensive line play for Alabama, very sketchy. South Florida, 177 yards rushing for them. They couldn't do anything passing. Bama, this week against Ole Miss, they won, but the people writing off Coach Saban in Alabama right now, I'd slow way down on that.
No, you're absolutely right. I never want to downplay Nick Saban or a Nick Saban team, but, maybe the biggest winner on Saturday was Jalen Milroe, and he didn't even take a snap for Alabama. And then today it was announced that he's going to be the starting quarterback this week against Ole Miss. So, they try these other 2 quarterbacks. They really wanted Buckner to kind of be that guy. He started against USF and just did not look comfortable, could not get anything going. They turned to the young guy, Ty Simpson, and kind of the same thing. I mean, he kind of clawed them back and helped that offense get something going, but really didn't show much. But you talk about that offensive line for Alabama. USF got 5 sacks in that game on Saturday, and that's a ton of sacks against an SEC team. And so as the schedule gets tougher for Alabama, they take on Ole Miss. I think it's got to have to start with that offensive line. Like you said, they're going to rely on that run game, so everyone's really going to be packing it in and trying to force them to pass. So I would keep an eye on that offensive line for Alabama.
Quickly, 2 games a lot alike. A&M wins 47-3 over ULM, and Kentucky wins 35-3 over Akron. A&M got good quarterback play for Connor Wegman, 337, a touchdown and one rushing and a rushing touchdown. And Devin Leary, probably his best game for the Wildcats. But both games a lot alike. The difficulty increases this week. A&M against Auburn at Kyle Field, and Kentucky, they go to Vandy.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, not much from both these games, but I did like the quarterback play. Both these quarterbacks for Kentucky and Texas A&M looked really sharp, especially Devin Leary, who kind of a slow start for him at Kentucky, but 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's what you want to see, especially, like you said, as Kentucky gets ready to start SEC play.
We've talked a lot about it, but Florida wins 29-16 over Tennessee. Billy Napier's biggest Gators win. Graham Mertz was solid. Defense was suffocating. And 3.3 yards rushing all night for Tennessee. The interception for Joe Milton. It wasn't all on him, but he wasn't great. He was just pretty average. Brew McCoy, 5 catches, 94 yards. Florida controlled this one from the kickoff.
Yeah, and Tennessee just couldn't get anything going. It was all Florida all night. Trevor Etienne, 172 yards and a touchdown on 23 carries was awesome in that game. And, I mean, we've said a lot about it from start to finish. This was all Florida in an amped-up swamp, which is what you love to see, especially after that Week 1 loss against Utah where they just didn't show anything. This one was the surpriser. I thought Tennessee would go in, maybe not handle business. I thought it would be a close one, but I thought Tennessee would get the win. So a huge win for Florida, but just raises a lot of questions about Tennessee.
I'm not going to get my Florida or Tennessee national championship ring now, am
I? No. Unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed.
Maybe a belt bowl ring?
Maybe.
Auburn, they win 45-13 over Stanford. Auburn, one of 5 SEC teams that remain undefeated. Peyton Thorne was great, 282 passing and ran for 123 yards. Auburn this week at A&M, they took care of business against Stanford.
Yeah, you're right. They took care of business. Peyton Thorne, you haven't seen much with his legs, but 123 yards and 2 touchdowns is huge for him. It looks like he's going to be the starter in Auburn. They've been pointing to that direction. Robbie Ashford has gotten some snaps in games, only 4 pass attempts for him and 2 carries on Saturday against Samford. But, Auburn continues. Last week that game against Cal was a little scary, but, they take care of business against Samford, and now they'll start SEC play.
Vandy loses 40-37 to Barry Odom and the Running Rebs. UNLV, they win 40-37 over Vandy. Vandy they were leading 30-17 at one point in the game. A.J. Swan got hurt, came back in, and UNLV able to come back. 10 penalties for UNLV. Vandy at home this week against Kentucky, and that's one they would really like to have back. For any bowl match, they had to have that win over Vegas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They needed that one. Like you said, the penalties hurt them. That injury to A.J. Swan, who I really like A.J. Swan, definitely hurt them. And then, they drive down the field and miss a field goal late in the game that would have tied it up and sent it into overtime. And so, just a couple mistakes here and there. And that was a game that I think Vandy really thought they should have had. I think that's a game they thought they should have won and would have given them a lot of momentum. Then you go into conference play next week against Kentucky with a 3-1 record instead of 2-2. So that would have been a huge win for Vanderbilt, but unfortunately some mistakes there, and now they're 2-2.
Ole Miss 48-23 over Georgia Tech. Jackson Dart ran for 2, threw another one. He had a 68-yard rush in the game. He also had a 68-yard touchdown pass in the game. 251 passing, 136 rushing. Quinn Judkins, though, only 37 yards and a touchdown. Haynes King, 307, 2 touchdowns for Georgia Tech. Ole Miss this week at Alabama, but a good win and the 3-0 start for Ole Miss.
Yeah, I thought a very impressive win for Ole Miss. We talked about it earlier. A lot of people were on Georgia Tech in this one against the spread, that is. And so for Ole Miss to take care of business like they did, I thought was very impressive. About a 550 total offensive yards was really huge for them. But I'm curious because I saw the reporting earlier in the morning about Quinshad Judkins. I think was originally listed doubtful on Saturday morning. He ends up giving it a go, and like you said, 13 carries for 37 yards and got into the end zone once. How was he on an injury standpoint? Because from what I was seeing, I didn't think he was going to play on Saturday, and then he goes out and plays. But you said he seems fine. He looks good on the injury front.
He did, and he was ready to go, and passed all the tests pregame, and for I think an abdominal, maybe rib injury, but he was ready to go. Late Saturday night in Fayetteville, after getting out to a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, it was quickly 14-14 even before the first quarter ended. BYU 38-31 over Arkansas. Even without Rocket Sanders, Arkansas able to rush for 177 yards, but 2 of 13 on third down. KJ Jefferson didn't have a lot of help. BYU just stayed to their plan. Mm-hmm. I don't know why anybody would sign Holman Holmes with BYU.
It's a risky game to play, that's for sure. I was surprised about this, a game that I think went a little bit under the radar in terms of television because you had the Tennessee-Florida game. People were getting ready for Colorado State. Ole Miss was playing at the same time. So this one kind of flew over the radar, but I kept an eye on it. And you're right, those third downs, 2 for 13, it just couldn't get anything going. And then the penalties. I asked Ty about the penalties for Arkansas on Friday when we talked to him, and he kind of said the same thing of it's concerning, a lot of penalties, but on Saturday against BYU, 14 penalties for 125 yards. I mean, that puts you in a massive hole against anybody, and for against BYU, when you take those penalties and add them with the lack of success on third downs, that just gives BYU that golden opportunity to pounce on you, and that's exactly what BYU did.
And it makes the Razorback math for 7-8 wins really tough.
Yeah.
And you look at the rest of their schedule, even for a 6-win season, it's really tough. A lot of the preseason complexion of the season has really changed when we actually play and we have these games. Our look back at the SEC brought to you every Monday at 4:30 by Sissy's Log Cabin, the official jeweler of the Memphis Grizzlies. Sissy's offer a selection of diamond, estate jewelry, and fine gifts. Since 1970, with 6 locations across Arkansas and Tennessee, unsurpassed value, exceptional service, expansive selection, and an extraordinary experience, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Well, let's get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm with John Virgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day. But it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
It's time to go where the season takes you, and it's the season for savings at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Go for miles more with 43 MPG Highway in your 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, $17,815 or $229 a month. 2024 Eclipse Cross eludes sleek and sporty style at $29,695 or $399 a month. Discover the new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SUV with third row and 7-passenger seating, now $29,885 or $449 a month. And they're all equipped with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. We're ready to put you in a new ride today at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 84 months. Mirage RH 00782, MSRP 18315. Eclipse RZ 001693, MSRP 30,445. Outlander RZ 005762, MSRP 31,385. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax title and licensee dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, well, my big number today is 17. That's the jersey number for Rams rookie Puka Nacua, a rookie that was drafted from BYU in the 5th round, and he has had a remarkable 2-game start to his career. He has 15 receptions he had 15 receptions for 147 yards yesterday, which is the most receptions in a single game by a rookie in NFL history. He's the first player in NFL history to have at least 10 receptions and 100 yards in each of his first 2 career games, and he is the 5th player in NFL history with at least 10 receptions and 100 receiving yards in each of his team's first 2 games of a season, joining Miles Austin, who did it in 2010, Isaac Bruce, who did it in 1998, Cooper Kupp, who did it in 2022, and Andre Rison, who did it in 1994. So this is a great start for the rookie out of BYU. We'll see if he can continue this, especially if another guy that I just mentioned his name returns to that lineup. I'm sure he'll have less opportunities for receptions because when Cooper Kupp gets there, he will be getting the ball a ton. But no matter what happens, that is incredible to see.
I have 2 big numbers, and they both tie into the Memphis Tigers
right.
and the Missouri Tigers, in fact. My first big number is 39. That's how many remaining undefeated teams in FBS in college football out of 133. That's just in 3 weeks. We've plowed through down to 39. And we know we're going to get rid of at least 8 this week because there are 8, my second big number, 8 matchups of undefeated in FBS this weekend, and that includes Saturday night in downtown St. Louis at the site of the old Tony's restaurant where the dome sits now. And Tigers both undefeated and both and playing each other this week. So 39 undefeateds and 8 matchups. So it'll be at least 31 next week and probably more.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be more, but that's
incredible.
Probably
less.
Yeah, less, right. That's incredible that only through 3 weeks, only 39 teams remain unbeaten. That's crazy. I mean, I feel like that should be much more, but that is an incredible big number, and we've mentioned it multiple times how good the lineup this weekend is for college football. And so, like you said, 8 undefeated versus undefeateds, and it could get a little dicey in some of those other games.
This week is really kind of the first big separation week, statement week, get a little distance between somebody, make your case week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I'm excited for it. I mean, just looking, I haven't looked too deep at the schedule yet, but just looking through that and seeing not only the top 25 versus top 25 games, not even the undefeated versus undefeated games, but just looking up and down, looking at some of those conference games, looking at some of those games of a team that's playing sneaky well against a top 25 team. This is going to be a Saturday for sure. You wake up, turn on game day, and you don't leave your couch the rest of the day.
And other teams that aren't undefeated aren't in those kind of glamour games. But if you think there are questions around, say, Arkansas or South Carolina or even Vandy or Mississippi State, if you think there are questions today, wait till next week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, 100%. Well, and even like a team like Tennessee, who this weekend plays UTSA, that was a
one-loss Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Who just lost to Miami, Ohio over the weekend. That's good. But for Tennessee, I mean, they're playing a UTSA team that before the season we were all saying, oh, that's going to be the game. What if? And now UTSA is 1-2 after losing earlier. I think Friday night was when they played without Frank Harris. So
be careful, UTSA. They'll throw golf balls at you.
They will, but maybe if they can get Frank Harris back this weekend, that could be a really interesting game in Tennessee. So I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a really, really, really fun weekend, that's for sure. And hey, maybe that 39, who knows? Maybe that 39 will get to under 25 after Saturday with how crazy it should be. But that'll do it for our second hour. Let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some more football with Colin Cody.
Cooling or heating system on the fritz? Dripping faucet? Call the pros at Conway Services today and we'll waive the service call fee with any HVAC or plumbing repair. Expert technicians available 7 days a week. Call 384-3511 to schedule your appointment. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19688.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero, P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealers.com.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah is about to blow my socks off.
That's right, Brandy. Get 41 MPG Highway with the 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 due at signing.
What about those cool new EVs?
I've got EV action with the 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 due at signing. And the 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 due at signing. Plus, you'll get a free charger with every EV purchase, all 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My check engine light's on?
That could hurt your gas mileage. The AutoZone free Fix Finder service can help find the fix for free.
Get in zone.
This whole report for free?
That's right, printed and on your phone for free.
Get in zone.
But what if the fix is too tough?
We'll recommend a local shop. Fix Finder, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
7. 12. What are we playing?
Central Barbecue has 7 different kinds of sandwiches.
Okay, does that seem like a lot?
Are you kidding? 7 may be the most perfect amount of sandwiches. See, they get the pulled pork. You can get chopped on request. Then trimmed sliced beef brisket sandwich. There's 2 right there.
I'm not sure exactly.
Look, you've also got the pulled chicken, the smoked turkey, the marinated portobello mushroom sandwich.
That seems like plenty.
You would think, but then you also got the smoked sausage and the barbecue bologna sandwich.
You're right. 7 may be the perfect amount of sandwiches.
The people at Central Barbecue are genius.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot & Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're sitting in our family leisure studios, and joining us now to talk some college football from WREG, Channel 3 reporter and anchor for their sports team, Colin Cody, joins us now. Colin, thanks so much for joining us. Really excited to have you on. I want to start with the Tigers. Obviously, a big game this weekend in St. Louis against Missouri, but Thursday night against Navy, first conference game. It was a little closer than I think a lot of fans anticipated that game against Navy, but what did you think about their performance Thursday night?
Brian, Brett, thank you all for having me on again.
Thanks for
always love to chop it up, football or anything related with you guys because it keep it so fun during the weekday. And going back to Thursday, I was there. And like you said, it was a lot closer than a lot of people expected. And earlier today, Ryan Silverfield at his Monday press conference, he kind of touched on the fact that he spoke to Navy's coach after last Thursday's game. And he said that once Navy got back from Dublin when they had their season opener against Notre Dame, that they specifically put in new installments on that offense to make that triple option as sneaky and tricky as possible to prepare for Memphis in that AAC conference opener. So I think we saw a lot of that. It caught Memphis definitely off guard. And, no matter how you disguise the triple option, it's something that can be pretty tough to defend, especially if you don't see it 13 other times out of the season. So I think it was a good testament that, the defense finally, with so many new faces on that secondary position, like Simeon Blair, trying to find new spaces to, I don't think he's ever seen a triple option before. So they kind of grew up as a unit, I think, before our eyes, because they have so much depth and leadership already and experience. Just they have to get it all together.
Colin, do you sense the real pressure that's on Seth Hennigan? Look, it goes with that position. We know it's a lot of adulation, a lot of praise, but a lot of criticism. I don't think I know the boos were not directed at him like Eli Drinkwitz accused the Mizzou fans of booing Brady Cook during video board introductions. I think it was aggravation. I know it was the aggravation at the coaching staff. Will you tell me in the ballpark Thursday night, the boos, you think it was coach directed or player directed?
I definitely think it was play call directed. So I would say coaches. I don't think that was a huge part of Seth Hennigan. You can only, I know he might have missed some timely throws there, or he didn't hit the check downs that a lot of people probably would have seen instead of taking sacks, or even that interception. He said, that's probably one that I need to get rid of in a game situation like that, when you already have the lead and you give it up to maybe basically midfield, and depending on your defense again. So I definitely think the boos and adulation came towards the play calling and coaching staff. And I think we heard Brian Silverfield say after the game and today that, he took a lot of that responsibility, though Seth, when in those situations, he has to make better decision-making. And I think that's one thing we're still looking for as Tiger fans, the progression of this Tiger offense moving forward this season from last year, where they would lose games because they wouldn't seem like that they were up for the task at hand to keep the gas on the offensive side of the ball, whereas, they found a way to win against Navy, but against Mizzou, that's going to be a different type of challenge. Like a team that's also in the SEC and coming off a big win like that over Kansas State, they're going to have to make sure that they're as focused as they've been all season moving forward.
Yeah, Colin, I don't want to sound naive. I know there's always been booing. It's nothing new about that. But here's what I fear, and I fear it really coming up when we get to college basketball and we get inside these jam-packed kind of bandboxes inside arenas. Look, college basketball's played indoors. That's kind of where I'm going. I think with the wave of legal gambling, with the NIL, with everybody's business kind of being out there, I do, and the cost and the expense now to go to sports. I think I sense maybe more aggrieved ticket buying public, angry ticket buying public, and they got to let it out. And it's not just in Memphis, it's not just in Columbia, Mo. I think it's going to be widespread. And I think this year in college basketball, by the end of the year, when we get to the end of the year, it will be a story of really how nasty some home crowds will be at home teams across college basketball.
Absolutely. And you're seeing that at the NFL level. I think it was Tyreek Hill last night in New England said that, the Patriot fans were saying some of the things that he couldn't even say in church to them. So I think when you bring in, like you said, the NILs and you unveil what's underneath the sheet already, what these players are making, and knowing how fans want results so quickly in this day and age, especially when it comes to college basketball. A coach in college basketball gets maybe 2 years to really turn a program over if they don't really have ties to the program or the area. So I think, definitely you might, that'll be a big time story by the time we get to March for sure.
Yeah, I think
and a sports that you cover and know so well, golf, and we visited with you about golf. The golfers, John Rahm has made the comment, I would say if it was here this year with the Ryder Cup, and not just because it's over there, I think we're going to see the rowdiest Ryder Cup, meanest Ryder Cup crowd ever this year. And if the United States was hosting, the same would apply. I think the golf crowds have gotten nasty, and we've almost encouraged it at Ryder Cups.
Absolutely. And especially, I mean, you get the best of the best playing out there for one, but now I think a lot of that is fueled by what the pressure that the LIV Tour has presented itself towards the PGA and like some of the best golfers. Like the fact that Brooks Koepka, that was a huge controversial topic when he was chosen to be on the Ryder Cup. You know, we knew somebody from the from the LIV Tour was going to make it. We just didn't know who, and no matter who it was going to be some fans that didn't like it because of how they separated themselves, and it was kind of it's been like a money grab for a lot of those pro guys. So definitely all sports are starting to take some heat like that. Heck, we might even start seeing it at the high school level soon. So that's just unfortunately how things are going. And when you have these primetime young athletes getting what they're getting, it's a high demand of what fans want to see on the field from them. So,
well, getting back,
it's here.
Yeah, getting back to the Tigers, you talked a little bit about their defense, and kind of obviously you're not going to see a Navy type of offense again this year with that triple option, just kind of how quirky it is. But when you look at this defense that coming in, a lot of people were very excited about, top defense in the country when you look at statistics and all of that. But you look, 299 yards on the ground for Navy, 133 through the air. What do you think about this Tigers defense going into St. Louis?
I feel actually pretty optimistic about it. I feel better about it than going against Navy, to be honest. Like I mentioned, we have so many new faces on that defense that come from very quality programs, from the SEC or whether that's from Old Dominion. Well, I'm sorry, he didn't go to OD, but Simeon Blair, obviously, he was a captain for Arkansas, and he had never faced a triple option attack in his entire collegiate career. So I think when you get back to more traditional style of offenses that they're going to see the rest of the way, this team is definitely going to pick up what we saw the first 2 weeks. Though, that is just Bethune-Cookman and who did they play? I forget who they played the second week. It's slipping my mind. ASU. Exactly.
Arkansas State.
Yeah. So, just last week, that was the first time that the defense had given up a touchdown in 2 games. So I think they're going to get back to playing what we expected them to see this Saturday in St. Louis a lot better than they did last Thursday here at Simmons Bank.
For a lot of college football teams, Memphis is not alone in this weekend. Everybody's kind of facing, kind of a truth-telling time. Memphis needs to play its best game of the year this weekend, or they won't win. I think you could say the same about Ole Miss. For sure, Arkansas on the road at LSU, they got to play the best game they played, and we got to see Tennessee have a pulse against Texas San Antonio.
Absolutely, and I don't know if it's just this season or if it's something about the new conference realignments that's starting to happen, but we're seeing these big games happen a lot sooner in the schedule than I think what we've mostly seen. It's usually like that early October that we start to see the Ole Miss versus the Alabamas or the big-time rivalry games. Even Colorado State, I feel like that's a game that's probably meant for late or early November. So, I think everybody has to play the best brand of football early in the season, especially nowadays. I think Ole Miss has a better shot at defeating Alabama. I don't know if I'm just a homer. It's probably just the heartstrings being pulled on me a little bit, but I feel like Ole Miss has a better chance of defeating this type of Alabama team who has they don't really know what their offense is or who their quarterback is. So we know it's going to be Milroe this week. I think it's time that this is a time in college football where we're seeing the NIL and the disparity across the board, where it seems like the playing field has become somewhat equal. Besides Georgia, Georgia's even tested by South Carolina last week.
Sure
so we'll see. I'm very interested to see what all of these programs look like in 2 or 3 weeks, because we're so early in the season. But these games are already matter when we get into SEC and conference play and across the board.
Yeah. We're talking to Colin Cody from WREG Channel 3. He's part of their great sports team. And you talked about Ole Miss there, so I kind of want to get your thoughts on this Ole Miss team, because 3-0 start, I think a lot of people, I was telling Brett this earlier, I think a lot of people over the weekend thought this could be a spot to bet Georgia Tech against the spread. I think it was about 18 points because of that look-ahead factor. They're looking ahead to this game against Alabama. But what have you thought about the job Lane Kiffin has done this year with Jackson Dart in his second year at quarterback?
I think he's done a pretty solid job so far. We knew what we were probably going to get out of Jackson Dart. He's starting to look a lot more Matt Corral-esque right now, using his legs a lot more and making better decisions in the pocket when he's trying to find his receivers. I'm a little surprised by the running attack. I obviously thought Quinshon Judkins would probably have a better start to his season. Now I'm not sure if it's just dealing with nagging injury or whatnot, but I think overall what they're doing is better than what we saw this time last year. They have a better sense of identity on offense, but I'm still not sold by Pete Golding and what he's done with this defense. They seem like they don't want to give up the big play, and like we saw with Georgia Tech, they just picked up yards and kept the game going and made it a lot more interesting than it had to be. And we saw the same thing against Tulane. So I think until we see, until they see a team that has a dog at running back, then we're going to really know what that Ole Miss defense looks like. Because right now they just seem like they're paper thin and they can't stop a nosebleed. But that's just my fandom coming out a little bit.
That's great. Well, I mean, I think you're right about that. But talking about this Alabama game this week, obviously a massive game for Ole Miss, kind of going on the road, that chance to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa again. And you mentioned Jalen Milroe going to go back and be the starting quarterback for Alabama. What do you think about Ole Miss's chances this weekend against this Alabama team?
I think this is their better chance of defeating the Alabama team for the first time in the Kiffin era. It reminds me of back when they defeated them in Oxford and the goalpost came down. They still had they didn't know who their quarterback was back then either. Right. I can't remember his name, but the guy, he moved from wide receiver to quarterback.
Blake Sims.
Yep, Blake Sims. Blake Sims was, he had a strong arm, kind of like a Milroe, and could utilize his legs, but that was also a very nasty defensive front that Ole Miss had too. But I like their chances. I honestly feel like that they can take advantage of Alabama's defense more so than other side. If you flip-flop the situation, I think that if they somehow find some type of running attack and the offensive line holds up firm and they move the ball like what we've seen them do and time for time again, that this is a team that could probably beat Alabama by a score or two, just because Alabama, I don't think they know who they are on both sides of the ball. But, you are facing a very disgruntled Bama team that's coming off a very underwhelming performance against USF, 13-7, or was it 17-3, something like that, which regardless, 14-point game against a non-conference opponent for Alabama, that's kind of looked at as a loss. So, yeah, I think you're going to get a very frustrated Alabama team. You're going to have to weather the Bryant-Denny Stadium for one. But, this is why you want to go to Ole Miss and you want to play for Lane Kiffin. You don't always have to go to – you want to be able to upset the Alabamas. So, this is the chance. I think this is Lane's best chance probably besides last year when they had him on the ropes. But, I think it could go down.
Yeah, last year Alabama had Bryce Young, and they don't this year. And you compare, you mentioned in the same sentence Jackson Dart to Matt Corral. I talked about it Saturday night. I don't know if it's just that number, the number 2, but I think it's also that play. He is showing that same leadership that you saw grow week after week in 2021 for Matt Corral. Now, in 2021, a lot of people were feeling the same way they're feeling this week around Ole Miss about the game in Tuscaloosa, and really got handled by Alabama that year.
Absolutely. And I think Jackson knows, well, he knows that position is his, but how deep that quarterback room is, he probably, if he starts to really taper off as quarterback one, and, there could be a sense of change in the air where another guy that's a 4 or 5 star that's waiting for a chance to show what they got will step in and, could possibly compete with him for that job. Just for Jackson, his second year in that system, him and Lane and his communication, they have that to a T. That's what the other quarterbacks in the room at Ole Miss, they're lacking at the moment. But I believe they all have the same very elite skill set. But it's just, do you get the chances to play against a team like a Tulane or a Mercer before you go against an Alabama team? So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I do want to go over to Tennessee. Obviously, a lot of people talking about them and their loss to Florida this weekend. And I know this is a team that y'all cover a lot over at WREG. So when you look at this Tennessee team through 3 weeks, kind of struggling a couple weeks ago against Austin Peay and then going down to the Swamp and losing, what do you think about this team and kind of this offense that everybody thought was going to be so electric before the season and really kind of hasn't stepped up to the plate yet?
Yeah, I think a lot of eyes have been put on Joe Milton's arm, which, he has the arm strength and the talent, but I just don't I think they lost so much around with that offense from a season ago up front and on the wings with Jalen Hyatt, everybody going to the NFL or graduating, where Milton probably really doesn't have a lot of support that he probably needs at this point in the season. And with them not being successful running the ball like they were on Saturday, you can't really get up and down the field like that if you're a quarterback and trying to reach your receivers, and they were just never in sync. And 16 points, the ones that were scored on Saturday, that's the third fewest in the Josh Heupel era since he's been at Tennessee. So for me, moving forward, I think that they have to use this game as against UTSA as one that isn't just a cupcake game. Obviously, UTSA has been a program that's built its reputation up the last few years, but this is a game that they have to go out there and they have to be dominant on not just offense, but all sides of the ball, just for them to at least get some type of confidence back. Because when you have that fourth quarter scuffle at the end, you lose offensive lineman for the first half of the next week. It can be a really big humbling experience for them moving forward, especially losing in a rivalry game like that and at the Swamp where they hadn't won in 2 decades. That's that can rattle anybody. So this is a time for Tennessee to really figure out what they're made of. You got that one loss on the season, but you still have a chance to run the table in the SEC once you continue with the SEC schedule.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. This is a big game for them. I think they got to take care of business against UTSA on Saturday. But Colin, thanks so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Let's do it again soon.
Brian, Brett, I thank you guys so much. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we get to see each other in person on the sideline of the Tiger game pretty soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you, Colin. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. You too, man.
Thank you so much. Colin Cody with us from WREG News Channel 3 and that great sports team there with Mike Sadie and Jeff Woods, and they cover the Tigers. Well, they cover all the area teams so well, and I hope they'll have a presence in St. Louis. I think a lot of people will make especially with the 6:30 kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
You can day trip up and maybe get about halfway home after the game. Some will try it all the way back. Of course, some will stay. And I think there'll be a good a great Memphis Tigers representation out Friday night in St. Louis.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and I know over on Channel 3, they do a great job on all the games, so I'd be shocked if they don't have anybody in St. Louis. But it's going to be a fun one, and I do, like you said, I hope a lot of Tiger fans kind of take this opportunity. You're 3-0. You've won 3 good games, and going up against a team that just beat a top 25 team, I hope a lot of people take advantage of this kind of road trip that, like you said, you can do in a day and try to get there and get back in the same day.
I've said it most of the summer in the build-up to football, and I'll say it a week from now, regardless of how the game plays out. This is a free shot for the Memphis Tigers. The important games are the conference games now, nationally, and maybe trying to get that, that group of 5 college football playoff slot. Sure, it matters, and if they win, we know what that would do. But this is a free shot at them, and again, it's why I wanted Mizzou winning last weekend. Just so if they get just a little bit contented, that would be in Memphis' favor.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, but I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to be a fun game, and I'm really excited to kind of see, like we said, that crowd and kind of what that environment looks like.
And something that I thought of note that Colin told us that Ryan Silverfield, after Thursday's game and today, made note of the booing. I don't. I wish people didn't. I understand that they can. I know they can.
Yeah.
But Eli Drinkwitz, he was downright indignant. I know he was defending his player, and I mentioned in the SEC, Sisters Law Cabinet SEC look back at the weekend that win made him 20-19.
Yeah.
Has he won enough to be as indignant as he is?
I don't think so. But one thing we know about him is he loves getting up in front of a microphone and talking. So
boy, he does, and he's kind of in your face, and I think he's going to do it he's going to explain himself from the point of view of defending his own player. But I think it's always bad when a coach starts kind of yowing with his own fans.
Yeah, I think, and like you said, I mean, especially a coach that really hasn't done enough to be able to kind of act like that.
Yeah, what has he had? A couple of Gasparilla Bowls?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Our title sponsor of this hour is Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville. They've been there since 1961. Laura and Charles Hall, they owned the place. Charles started working there in his teens, and now with his great team, with his teammate Laura, they own the place, known for all the boots, but so much more, like clothing, accessories, and a cap for any team and for any season. Western wear, work boots, safety toe or soft toe boots, rubber boots. I saw all the boots in the Grove Saturday. Cowboy, cowgirl boots, but no rubber boots. Didn't need them in Oxford. It was not a muddy track at all. Boots for every occasion at Hewlett & Dunn. From head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Anderson Bean, Dan Post, Area. They've got them for men. They have them for women.
And like you said, they have them for men and women. The clothing, jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duck head collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invite you to 111 North Center Street or to HewlettandDunn.com on the square in Collierville. Hats, sunglasses, boot care products in every area, team snapbacks and cool hats that you can think of. They've got you covered for the Tigers, Mississippi State, UT, Ole Miss, and the Razorbacks. And for travel, their bag selection is top-notch. So go online to HewlettandDunn.com, but please visit and say hello at 111 Center Street on the square in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're going to have to talk some NFL because we got to get to our Ruth's Chris Monday Night Football preview. That's next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero, P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealers.com.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah is about to blow my socks off.
That's right, Brandy. Get 41 MPG Highway with the 2023 Kia Forte LXS, $229 a month, $29.99 do it signing.
What about those cool new EVs?
I've got EV action with the 2023 Nero EV Win SUV, 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 due at signing. And a 2023 Kia EV6 Win, 134 city, 101 highway, MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 due at signing. Plus, you'll get a free charger with every EV purchase. All 36-month lease.
And Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with two of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Fiveash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day. But it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
I'm Kelly Erb with Mark Spensdorf Realtors, and I just had to ask, Sheldon, did you really just buy a set of golf clubs and you never tried them out?
Yep, that's right.
And Sheldon, didn't you tell me whenever you buy a car, you never test drive it?
Again? Yep.
Don't you think that's pretty bizarre since you always tell people to talk to 2 or 3 agents when they sell their home?
Yes, it is. I'm Sheldon Rosengarten, and I'm also with Mark Spensdorf Realtors with Kelly. It's funny, we tell people that you should always talk to more than one agent to find out not only what they think about your home, but more importantly, what they will do for you. And you really need to make sure and include us in the interview process.
I agree, because how are you going to find out about our strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option? And as people often say, when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
That's Sheldon Rosengarten and Kelly Erb. Call or email us at memphisrelocate.com or 682-1868. Do it now, 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
It's time to go where the season takes you, and it's the season for savings at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Go for miles more with 43 MPG Highway in your 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, $17,815 or $229 a month. 2024 Eclipse Cross eludes sleek and sporty style at $29,695 or $399 a month. Discover the new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SUV with 3rd row and 7-passenger seating, now $29,885 or $449 a month. And they're all equipped with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. We're ready to put you in a new ride today at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or 24/7 at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 84 months, Mirage RH 00782, MSRP 18315, Eclipse RZ 001693, MSRP 30,445, Outlander RZ 005762, MSRP 31,385. Includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawald Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawald is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
So how
everyone. I'm Howard Cosell. Welcome aboard. ABC's Monday Night Football.
All right, Brett, it's a Monday night. 2 games tonight for Monday Night Football. Where do you want to start?
We've got a lot of options tonight, don't we? And this is our Monday Night Football pick and preview from Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and it's perfect for any event, but it's really perfect for Monday Night Football. Whether it's date night, a birthday after a big win, or just because, raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Memphis in the Regalia Shopping Center. Plenty of safe parking. I know you can hear the sizzle. This is how celebrating and enjoying Monday Night Football should be done. For any occasion, treat yourself to one of the classic USDA prime beef steaks, seasoned and boiled to perfection, then served sizzling hot on one of Ruth's signature 500-degree plates. You got to trust us on the temperature, but also trust us on a great time at Ruth's Chris Memphis in Regalia.
Kevin Johnson, he's the general manager, and Jared Wells, his executive chef, and they want everyone to know about the holiday party plans. But you need to start now for your perfect event, because the holidays, they'll be here before you know it, so you want to get ahead of that. But Ruth's Chris open for lunch on Sunday happy hour, Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6, and Sunday from 3:30 to 6. The most hospitable steakhouse in town. And Ruth's Chris gift cards are always available. Just ask and they'll get you hooked up. The patented boiling method. Hear that sizzle and enjoy Monday Night Football on all the TVs. Visit ruthschris.com to make a reservation and celebrate the right way on Ruth's Chris Memphis. So, like I said, 2 games tonight. Saints, Panthers starting here in just about 30 minutes at 6:15. But then also at 7:15, we'll have this game here on Sports 56. Browns versus Steelers. You can also catch that one on ABC. So I think 2 really intriguing games tonight.
They are both divisional matchups. One AFC North, one NFC South. A lot of passion in both of those divisions. I think the sneaky great division in football is that NFC South, because it's got a lot of college influence around that fandom in those fan bases. And then the NFC North, it screams the National Football League. And both over and unders around the same tonight. Over and unders around 39 and a half in both game point spread. Cleveland -2 on the road at Pittsburgh, and on the road in Charlotte, the Saints are -3. So a lot of both these games look a lot alike.
Yeah, it seems like Vegas thinks both of them are going to be pretty close. So it should be a lot of fun tonight. I'll be keeping an eye on both of them and kind of seeing what all 4 of these teams can do. But for the Steelers specifically, I want to see how they can bounce back against the Browns. You remember last week against the 49ers, Steelers just didn't show up. And for the Browns, they got a win. I think it was an upset win for them in week 1. So I want to see another home game for the Steelers. How do they bounce back? Can they get something going tonight against those Browns?
That crowd at Acrisure last week was taken out of the game early, and it was very sleepy. We know Monday Night Football will bring the rowdy for Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Yep. His home debut, his first game. What they hope will be a long career for him playing for the Carolina Panthers. But we'll pick the 6:15 game first, as it kicks off first. Panthers at home, but they are a 3-point underdog. Saints -3. And no, I told you earlier, you can pick either game you want of these 2 for us tonight, Bryant. You can pick either that one, or you can pick at 7:15 the Browns -2.5 over the Steelers. You can take your pick.
I think I'm going to go with the second game, Browns versus Steelers, and I think I'm going to take the Steelers against the spread in this one. Something about the Steelers, they're such a hard team to play at home, and so I'll be surprised if they drop 2 in a row at home. I think this game against the Browns, it will be a little closer in terms of head-to-head than it was against the 49ers, and so I hope they can bounce back. I wish I was able to get it at 3 or 3.5, but I'll take them. Why not? I don't like betting against the Steelers at home, and I definitely feel more comfortable about that game than the Saints-Panthers because I just think there's a lot of unknown about the Panthers and Saints game, with this kind of new look offense in Carolina. That offensive line we've talked a lot about since preseason hasn't looked great, so I'll just take my chance with the Steelers here.
You said you would really like 3.5. Well, I'm going to take 3.5, so I'm going to take that other game,
all right,
and I'm going to take the home underdog getting the 3.5, and Bryce Young starting things off well in downtown Charlotte for the Panthers. Tonight for Kenny Pickett, though, an interesting quarterback matchup with him against Deshaun Watson. The opposite summer of 2023 for Deshaun Watson, the very loud summer of 22 that it was. But Kenny Pickett versus Deshaun Watson in one and Carr versus Young in the other. This weekend in the NFL, you went 3-3. That's not bad. I had an improved week after my 0-6 week last week in the NFL. Very improved for me this week. I went 1-5.
Oh, Brett. I mean, it's improvement. I mean, last week the old goose egg. This week you get 1. So I mean, I don't know. I just
now it was Washington straight up. So I got 2 points. But very much a Pyrrhic victory. In college, we both went 4-2. I got there with lock and shock, and shock straight up in Mizzou. So I get 2 points there. You had Liberty as lock, but you had Charlotte in the Biff Hoagie experience. So you
I've given up on Charlotte. Oh, man, I'm done.
But you're 3-3. You also got 2 points because you had Indianapolis plus the 1.5, and they won straight up over Houston. So tonight you take the Steelers plus the 2.5. I take Carolina plus 3.5. We usually do this on the teams that are playing on Monday Night Football. We do the big 4 of something, the big 4 all-time of something. Mm-hmm. Tonight, it's from any of these 4 teams, we're going to have the big 4 quarterbacks among New Orleans, Carolina, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. And no, to the old guard Cleveland Brown fans, I'm sorry, I don't have Otto Graham.
That's too bad. I thought for sure you would have old Otto on there.
No, I'm gonna pass on Otto Graham, but I will have. In fact, I have no Browns, but I've got one. I've got the other 3 teams all represented at least once, and one represented twice.
I guess I have 3 of the 4 teams represented this one. So do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Fire away.
All right, I'll go first. I think this is going to get a little pushback from people. Man, I might probably get some pushback from you, Brett, in all honesty. I'll start from number 4.
As long as you don't run Joe Namath down.
Well, Joe Namath did not make any of the didn't meet the criteria for these lists, I don't believe. So I'll start at number 4 with Terry Bradshaw, obviously from the Steelers. He comes in at number 4. Number 3, we're going to stick there with the Steelers. I'll put Big Ben right ahead of Terry Bradshaw. He's number 3 for me in this big 4 big list. Number 2, I'm going to go with Cam Newton, Superman, from the Panthers. I think a lot of people, when you're talking about all-time quarterbacks, forget about what Cam Newton did as a Panther. And then number 1, I'm going to go with Drew Brees, one of the best to do it in my lifetime. Drew Brees from the Saints, I think, is a runaway number 1 for me. I wanted to put Cam Newton at number 1. I just can't put him over Drew Brees.
No, I couldn't either. And I said way back at the start of the show setting up, or talking about this segment, I thought there would be unanimity at number 1. We want your list at 901-360-8255. Text in your list for this. But I've got Drew Brees, number 1. See, I like rings. I like championships.
Sure.
I'm going to go full Mike Singletary here. I like winners. And so number 2 for me, it is Terry Bradshaw, the Rustin Rifle.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, he was from Shreveport. I got him confused with Burt Jones. He was from Shreveport, Woodlawn High in Shreveport. And those championships, they matter to me. I know the yards don't come close to stacking up with any of these other 3 I'm going to have on the list. And the next one in his city, But if he had played in an era where he could throw it that much, he would have been just fine airing it out. And you're not going to believe this, Brian, but early in his career, the early to mid 70s, he was as good a runner as Cam Newton.
Really?
He really was. Terry Bradshaw was an elusive quarterback early in his career. Now, it wasn't his main calling card, but he had some escapability. So I go Drew Brees 1, Terry Bradshaw 2, then Big Ben 3 with those numbers and those Super Bowls for Ben Roethlisberger, and he's going right into Canton, into the Hall of Fame. And the Steelers aren't big on retiring jerseys, retiring numbers, but he's beloved in Pittsburgh. And number 4, Cam Newton. That career, and he may be right there in that classic Hall of Good. And when he had his last tour of duty, who was it with? Was it with New England?
It was with New England.
Who was
So he went to New England. I can't remember if he had another stint with Carolina, but I don't remember if that was before or after New England. Let me look it up.
There was somewhere at the end that I was wanting him to do well, just to add to the back of the football.
It was probably
card.
New England, if I had to guess.
And he didn't have much left. Took a lot of hits. Yeah. The hits he endured. There's no way they let a 6. There's no way Drew Brees gets hit because of his body type. It wouldn't be anything else nefarious. It was just his body type. But somebody that big and bringing that much thump that he could bring, he was taking the hits that no other quarterback would ever have to sustain. The Big Ben got hit, but he wasn't as the runner that Cam Newton was. That 2015 MVP year for him that led the Panthers to the Super Bowl, that was one extraordinary year. So I go Brees, Bradshaw, Roethlisberger, Cam Newton, my big 4 of the 4 teams playing tonight. And I apologize to Cleveland Browns fans for leaving out Bernie Kosar and Otto Graham.
Well, and Johnny Manziel. We could go down to
Spurgeon Wynn.
Yeah, we
could
go down.
Brady Quinn,
Baker Mayfield. There's a long list of great Cleveland quarterbacks we could go down. I think
any apologies out there. I know it's just 2-0. Might be a little early for the apology tour. But what about the 2-0 for Baker Mayfield so far?
Baker's found something. Connor's big. Connor, my brother, is a huge Baker Mayfield fan, and so he's been real excited watching him through these 2 games. But I think it's a little too early. You were talking about Cam Newton, and I was right on my remembering of his career. So he went to New England in 2020, goes back to Carolina in 2021. His first game in Carolina was when he kind of came back. There was a lot of excitement around it. He goes out, and I think they win that game that he played in, so everybody was real excited about, Cam Newton's back to Carolina. He could really do something with this team. So if I had to guess, I would say that was probably the year, 2021, that you're thinking of.
I think so. That I just wanted him to add a little to it. That was our Monday Night Football pick and preview. The place to watch Monday Night Football at Ruth's Chris in the Regalia Shopping Center for any occasion, date night, a birthday after a big win, or just because. Raise a steak in celebration at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Well, let's get to our final break of the day, and when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Your equipment search ends here. Now that's a bold statement. But at Purple Wave Auction, it's true. See for yourself at purplewave.com. Purple Wave is your online marketplace for ag and construction equipment, utility vehicles, trucks and trailers, and yes, even a classic car or 2. Bidding is straightforward and simple. No reserves, no minimum bids. Ready to get started? Head to purplewave.com. Purple Wave Auction. Straight, simple, sold.
My friends at Miramichi are always innovative. They've got a new thing going I think you're going to like. They have a staggered rate pertaining to what time of day it is. You can get a better price if you go in the later afternoon than you will in the morning or in the afternoon. From noon to 3, there is a $10 savings. There's about a $13 savings from 3 until close. You can't beat all of the innovations or the beauty at Miramichi, and folks are flocking. No longer can you get a membership. There's a waiting list, but that's how popular Miramichi has become. And why wouldn't it? You've got different levels of competition. You have 5 different tee boxes you can choose from ultra hard to ultra fun. The thing that's a constant is the beauty. The back 9 is like taking a walk through the woods with a meandering stream, and there's a waterfall you'll love. Everything about Miramichi is cool. Go check it out in Woodstock, 12 minutes north of downtown. It's Miramichi.
Hey, sports fans, this is Ultimate Vegas Insider John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Monday Night Report absolutely free on a recorded message line. Mondays last year, 30-4. That's 88% winners. I'm red hot. Call 1-800-216-6615. Cleveland, Pittsburgh is a lock. Plus the total and basis to parlay. 5 big plays, John Anthony has you covered. We go 5-0 the season free. 1-800-216-6615. Information wins. John Anthony Sports, #1 against the spread. I can prove it. Cleveland, Pittsburgh is a monster. Win the side, win the total. Parlays and teasers cash in. A $200 player wins $2,000 tonight. Recorded message, 1-800-216-6615. We go 5-0 the season free. 1-800-216-6615. That's 1-800-216-6615. Or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Don't miss any of the primetime action this season with Kevin Harlan and Hall of Famer quarterback Kurt Warner on site calling the game. And I'll be on hand from the studio for the pregame and to wrap up the weekend's action. Join us on air and on the free live stream, sponsored by AutoZone for Monday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Once again, here are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I...
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hell
hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that we now have learned about some emails and text messages sent between President Bill Hargrave and Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. This was over on the Daily Memphian. Tim Buckley, who we talked to last Thursday before the Tigers game, he wrote a story about it after they got these documents from a public records request. On the morning after the Tigers basketball team won the AAC tournament, President Hargrave sent an email to Brett Yormark and said, "Brett, did you catch any of our AAC finals game against Houston? Up by 20 in the first half, knocked off the number 1 team in the country. Although the game was in Fort Worth, our fans probably outnumbered the Houston fans. Great turnout. 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. If we were in the Big 12, we would likely be a number 5 seed. All upside for the University of Memphis Tigers. Regards, Bill." In response, Brett Yormark responded and said, "Congratulations. Watched the entire game. Team looked great. Loved your point guard," talking about Kendrick Davis. "Good luck in the tournament. We will connect soon for sure. Have a great day, Brett Yormark." Now, there's other texts and emails exchanged, but what I know now about President Bill Hargrave, between the renovations and trying to get into the Big 12, is we have a president that is going to fight and do everything it takes to make this university better, both academically and athletically. I know he hasn't been here long, but just reading that and seeing that fight, him just reaching out to the Big 12 commissioner saying, "Look, we outnumbered the Houston fans. We're in the tournament. We could have been better. Y'all could have a great program in Memphis. All you got to do is send us an invite." I love seeing that. Obviously, I said if you want to go to the Daily Memphian and see kind of all that the Daily Memphian learned, it's up there right now. But I was really excited to see that.
And a lot's it's being done even now. The doors aren't as shut as some fear. I really believe if the Pac-12 doesn't dissolve, doesn't just disintegrate, I think late July, early August was going to be the call from the Big 12. That makes it sting worse. Yeah. I know, but I think it was that close. Yormark is a basketball guy, kind of from his background, and he was in town. And I like the work that the president and Laird Veach are doing. You got to stay at it. This is no time to quit, and they're not quitting. What I learned, Eli Drinkwitz went after his own fans for booing Brady Cook on Saturday. There was a lot of booing at the Tigers game last Thursday night. I think that was directed at play calling and coaching staff. It will only grow with players being paid and NIL and the cost of tickets and the widespread legalization of sports betting.
Yep.
This coming year, I'm calling it. It's going to be ugly at college basketball. It's going to be ugly from home fans on home teams across college basketball. I'm not pigeonholing anybody. I think it's going to be widespread.
Yeah. What I could have done without is reported in the Tampa Bay Times this morning that the Tampa Bay Rays are set to announce a new stadium deal in St. Pete. It's going to be
in St. Pete, right?
In St. Pete, yes, in St.
Well,
Pete.
they still got to get across that bridge then, don't they? That bridge that's impossible to pass.
And, Brett, that is why it's what I could have done without, because it's a $1.2 billion project, 30,000 seats, a fixed dome, part of an 86-acre development. It's set to open by 2028, but you mentioned it. It's still going to be in St. Pete, and all I've heard is the reason they can't draw big fans is because of this bridge.
Yeah. I mean, because they say it's not about not liking baseball. They say it's really not about that hideous dome. It's that bridge. Yeah. Well, they still got to get across it. I thought the same thing. Brian, I like your read of that story. Did you say fixed roof, not retractable?
Fixed roof is what it says, yes.
Where are you beaming to tonight?
I'm going to beam to this game tonight, 7:15 Browns versus Steelers. I really want to see what bounce back we see from the Steelers, and on the other side, if the Browns can keep rolling.
All right, beam me to St. Louis for the Adam Wainwright start, but as soon as he kind of hits the skids, get me out of there and get me on the beaming machine to Pittsburgh for Browns and Steelers.
I like it.
Can you beam two places?
Why not? It's all in a day's work for the beam. But
That's it.
It should be a great night of football, also a lot of baseball going on. So enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to